Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are finishing off our top 50 games of all time ever. That's it.
For now.
Best.
For now. our favorite games, our favorite 50 games for forever.
For forever.
Our top favorite best 50 games. Is that okay with you, Mike?
No.
Hang on, I gotta redo mine.
Locked in stone, no changing it until next year.
That's right.
Well,
Nothing
ever.
arbitrary
That
about this
being
list.
said, how many new to you games made your top 10?
0.5. Wow.
I got 2 new to me games. I cannot believe that it happened, but when I get to them, you will see. Not only have I not stopped talking about them, but they're incredible. And I think they're going to stay there for a long time, honestly. I also will say for later, I have some facts. I said in one of the first episodes I'll try to have some like fun facts throughout my top 50, like the biggest drop, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I have a couple of those that I'll go through at the end of the episode because I think that kind of stuff is interesting, and it's hard for people to keep track of over a month and a half of 5 videos. So I have some interesting stuff here. Yeah, these games are good.
So, just so everybody knows, we used Pub Meeple ranking and then made adjustments as needed.
Optimal player count, no time restrictions.
Yep.
What would we rather play?
We'll have a link in the description that takes you to the previous episode and etc. They will all do that.
Yeah. I'm excited, boys.
I'm ready.
Are we ready to get started?
Also, if you like these lists, we are doing our top 101 on our live stream every Wednesday at 8. We've now gone through up to 80. So we've still got 3 more 10s to do.
Important thing to note. Those videos might look like they're 3-4 hours long, but we do business up front.
That's right.
And then the party in the
It is
back.
the mullet of board games.
Listen an hour, then we goof off for 2.
Yeah.
Party on the back end.
We get right in there. We do the list.
The mullet show.
We try to not get too derailed with comments because we do appreciate those. A lot of comments. We respond to those and everything in there. But list is right up front. Then we goof around, play games, junk like that at the end of the show. So do not be discouraged by the time.
Yeah, right. That's listed there.
That is listed there. And you can also watch it in like 1.5 speed if you wanted to.
Yeah. Okay. That's always fun to hear Tim's voice that way.
Yeah. Oh, so it sounds the same.
Yeah.
Sounds the same.
Exactly the same.
My Chipmunks album will be out next year.
That's right.
Wow.
And so now, without any further ado, number 10.
Number 10.
So my number 10 is Nucleum.
Oh!
Yeah. So this is one of the ones that was new to me this year. It's fantastic. It's super crunchy by David Turksey and Simone
Luciani.
Thank you. But it's crunchy. You're using these action tiles, and you're either playing them on your player board to do multiple actions that are listed on them, or you're putting them on the board to start creating railroads to connect your cities together. And then you're trying to connect coal and uranium to your networks to power your buildings that you're putting out there, and it's a blast. I got to teach it again over the weekend, and I love this game. I love how crunchy it is and how you have to take certain actions to build up to your income, because if you don't take enough actions and you try to take your income, you're not going to gain as much because it just the way that it works and the way it does it. Like it's super interesting. I love that you play until somebody hits the end game. It's not like, okay, well, here's your 12 actions for the game. Do the best 12 actions you can do. And the game will just keep going until people hit the end game. And I really like that about games.
Yeah.
It's a really good game. Bob is right here. It's a very stressful game. I've been describing it as kind of a Power Grid meets Brass kind of game. While there's more to it than that, I just like saying that because if that sounds good to you at all, I think you'll love Nucleum.
And what if it doesn't sound good to you?
Maybe start liking good games.
Oh, okay.
No.
Dan, you're 100% right.
What's funny is I haven't played Power Grid or Brass or Nucleum, so I don't know.
Right.
I have no point of reference. I just wanted to be a smartass.
We have already reviewed it and played it, and it'll be that
Well, he
video.
means we've done a playthrough.
That yes, we did a playthrough film.
Oh, you played it and it's on your top 10?
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
weird. I gotta redo my
I know.
list.
Yeah, I know. These are all
played these?
unplayed. But no, that video will be out early this year. This is the last thing we're recording from 2023.
Yeah.
You'll see this next year. Hello from the past.
Hello from the past.
Tell us the future gets better.
Check your arm for tally marks, right?
Oh, okay. Doctor Who reference.
that.
Look at that.
You looked.
I did.
This got weird for a second.
All right, my number 10.
Yes.
Cool. My number 10, Wolfgang Warsch's Taverns of Tiefenthal.
Nice.
This is my favorite Wolfgang Warsch game. This game is amazing. It is a deck builder and a tableau builder and all kinds of other stuff.
bar builder.
Yeah, bar builder, engine builder. This game just does so many things so well. The base game comes with 5 modules that you can add, subtract. We sometimes will disagree on like how complex it makes it if you throw them all in with the initial teach. But for the most part, I feel like most of the modules you could include with the first teach, audience dependent. If I was teaching these guys for the first time, I'd go everything all in. If I was teaching my family, maybe I'd leave 1 or 2 out. But for the most part, this game's pretty straightforward, and it does something that I think a lot of deck builders should do. I think it's really cool is when you buy a card, it goes to the top of your deck. It's so good. It's
So
such
good.
a wonderful mechanic because you're guaranteed to see that card you bought unless the game
right
ends.
away.
Right,
Sure, yeah.
unless it's the last turn.
This is the last round.
What?
But no, this game is really fun. You
Dice
play
drafting.
through X amount of nights. You're dice drafting.
Oh, beautiful wooden dice drafting too.
Wooden dice. But yeah,
It's thematic.
It is. It is, and I love the way that you can upgrade your tavern. You flip over that you pay your gold and you flip over that piece, and then when you can get those card combos, the cascade, and you can do other things. You're upgrading like a bunch of yeah. Oh, it's so good, and just a really satisfying game that I've just had a lot of success with teaching and getting other people to enjoy it. And because I just love the hell out of it.
I don't think I've taught that game to somebody who didn't enjoy it.
I think it's a great game.
I also I like how you don't have a hand limit. You play cards until you can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
till
till
all
your
the
bar
seats
fills
fill
up.
up. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. Just really interesting ways that you
It's
can
very unique.
you can sort of maximize what you're doing. And on my last year's list, it was number 17, so it has moved up.
Wow.
But I still just love this game. I got the Open Doors expansion a few months ago. I've only played it once, but I thought what it adds, the module that it adds was really good. Now, unlike the base game modules, you can't
Do all of them.
You can't do all of them, and I'm fine with that. At first, I was kind of disappointed, and I was like, I think I'm okay. Like, I think this,
Right.
you know, just adding one or two
of those things in is enough.
is enough without it becoming
Overbearing.
overbearing, right? Because the way it plays, it doesn't feel fiddly, you know, because of all the simultaneous basically actions that you're going. And the only thing you need to really do in turn order, other than drafting the die, is when you're buying the cards out of the you're buying the customers.
When you're recruiting customers, yes.
Because those can change
Right.
and might change what you're going to do. But as far as like buying like the help,
signing your dice and kind of get everything going, you can kind of do all that at the same time.
yeah. So the game moves by really fast.
You guys call them ads, the like standard cards you can always buy? Isn't that what you guys call them? What do you guys call kicks? Sorry,
Kicks.
I'm thinking I've been playing too many roguelites lately.
Yep.
Or boss battlers. The ads.
We got ads.
No, we call them kicks because of
Kicks,
DC
sorry.
deck builder. Yeah.
I think taverns might have the most useful kicks of any deck builder.
Oh,
I've
they're
played.
so cool though, because I mean,
Like
just
they're all very
they're
useful.
all really, really useful. Whether it's getting that extra die or getting, you know, another seat, you know, all those.
Increasing the seller output, so
Yes.
each die is more die.
Yeah,
more
just
beer.
yeah,
really,
buying the extra
that's a good
seats are
point.
huge.
That's a good point. Because and again, right? Like it's not just like one thing, and it's like, well, maybe that'll be useful later. It's you've got this smorgasbord,
Eight
you know,
different things you
of
can
different
buy.
things you can buy, and they all go right to the top of your deck, whatever you buy. So they're all useful,
Yeah.
like immediately.
And then you can even take them and use that money you paid for to trade it back in to upgrade
Yes.
your tavern.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
even though I say there's no hand limit, technically you got to have places for cards. So you
have-
buy a seat, that's another spot for cards.
I have
It's
had
super
one-
powerful.
I've had it
Yeah.
happen at least one time where I was able to play my whole deck.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it feels good.
It does.
It's like, oh, I can't even play any more cards. Oh well, I win. You know, it's so good. Hey, I've beaten you in this game before.
You have beaten me at
Yes.
this game, Tim. I
On
will-
camera, no less.
Let's check the tape.
So, Dan.
It's a great game. It was my 14 this year. My number 10 was 11 last year, and it's the only time you'll ever hear Brybelly games, and that's Wolves of Mercia.
Oh, so good.
Wolves of Mercia is a social deduction game that kind of takes the werewolf kind of formula, and it just makes it as streamlined and as interesting as possible, I think, in like a small type of game. Obviously, there are big games where you play 30 people, and then Wolves of Mercia is one where you play like, you can play like 8, and it plays fantastic. Everyone has their own win condition, their own asymmetric power, other than the cultists who are all working together. But every other character has their own win condition, which is fantastic. It makes it so interesting. Every time you get a card, you think of how you're going to reach that win condition. Also, you have a night ability and a day ability. The night ability is kind of the win condition I was talking about, and then the day ability is just something you can do during the day while everyone's awake. You just say, okay, I pick someone to put in jail. Okay, I do that. It plays flawlessly. You only play over 5 days, so it's a pretty fast game. I'd say it's like a 45-minute on average game. And honestly, that's the only reason it even reaches that long is because of the way the game works. You have to say every roll during the night. Unlike other games where like, oh, well, we're not playing with that roll, so we can skip it. In this one, the whole point is you don't know which rolls are in the game other than Werewolf and Cultist. So you have to go through every character in the night order, and that adds some time to it. But the positive spin on that is that means you don't have to have a moderator. You can have a recording that just goes through the night for you, and then you never have to worry about having that extra player like you do in Werewolf or other like games where you're like, oh, we technically have enough players, but if one person's the moderator, we're one player short, right? But Wolves of Mercia is a fantastic, affordable, easy to get game, and I strongly recommend it if you like social deduction games. It is one of the best ones out there, and it's just too bad that not enough people know what it is.
I agree. I know about this game because of Dan. Dan brought it to a meetup. Yeah, Dan recorded him. He did a very nice job of recording, like basically the moderator role.
Right, reading everything out.
So you just play that 5 minutes of audio if it's that long, and you just go through, and everybody just does what you're supposed to do. The more I think about this game, and like calling it Blood on the Clocktower Light is not extreme enough, like on how it distills it down, but it gives me those vibes without the commitment, and you don't need to know as much about
all the other roles.
100%. Yeah.
So it really, really, really distills sort of that experience down. But if you like those social deduction games and you want like a little bit more than just like One Night or Wolves of Miller's Hollow, which is the one I prefer. If you want more, but without having to go to the Blood on the Clocktower level, this is a really great option. And I've had a great time every time I played it. I really like the game quite a bit. I immediately bought it after playing it with Dan. It was like, where did you get that? Pulled out my phone, ordered it from their website.
Yeah, literally at the table.
Yeah,
it's a good feeling when you see it. And you're not the only one that's done that.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I like sharing this game, is because almost every time I've played it with a group, someone in the group has bought it. People just really like this game.
And that's the awesome thing about the hobby is that when you open yourself up to playing games you've never heard of and everything, and then you're like, holy crap, like I love this game, and so I try to give people credit when they have shown me a game and I'm like, it just blew me away. And yeah,
the knowledge thing helps. The aspect that I think really helps what you're talking about is that because every role is talked about at night, the moderator or the app will call out every role and say what they do. And so if you're new to the game, you are slowly learning while playing. You're like, okay, so he said the arsonist can put a fire token down or whatever,
and
right?
also has oddly shaped feet.
Right. Dang it.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
So you're kind of picking up this knowledge to where in a bigger game like Werewolf or Blood on the Clocktower, you might hear like Seer wake up and do your thing. When the person's like, well, what's the Seer's thing?
Yeah.
So anyway.
And the other thing I thought was really cool that I hadn't seen in this style of game until Wolves of Mercia was the day rolls and the night rolls, right? So that everybody's day rolls are all face up. Everybody knows what they're doing
during the day.
And so it's
right. Which again is thematic, explained by the fact that I'm a jailer and I'm secretly a cultist. Right? Like everyone has like that second side.
It's weird. I'm like the opposite.
Right. Secretly a jailer.
That's right.
But he's totally a cultist.
Totally a cultist.
But Wolves of Mercia, check it out. It's fantastic.
Yeah, really good.
A lot more depth in that box
Small
than you
box.
expect.
Yeah.
It's a
And
standard.
really, really good components too with the tarot, and everything.
Really nice
Yeah,
art.
great art. Nothing bad to say about this game at all.
Okay, my number 10 is Smartphone Inc.
Ooh, good pick.
If anything, I'm consistent because it was 10 last week. Or last week. Last year.
Shenanigans.
Wow, his list didn't even
And-
change from week to week or from last year. That's
By
impressive.
consistent, I mean I'm the first one that's dead and Dead by Daylight.
Very consistent.
But yeah, I just really, really appreciate what this game does. It is a medium light, I would argue. Medium light economic game. And it just has a very unique action planning system where you're
action
laying
crafting.
these tablets on top of each other that have like the
Icons.
different actions on them, and the more of them that are exposed, the stronger that action is. And then you can buy upgrades for your board and make those actions even stronger. I just really like games that have a lot of player interaction. It's got some route building. It's got the ability to set your price for your goods every round. And I think that's what makes the game shine, because that is, if you lower your price, you're effectively giving up victory points. The price that you sell your goods is the price you get per sale. And so by lowering it, you may think, well, why would I lower my price? You get to go first. If your price is the lowest, you get priority for every action that round. You also get priority in selling your goods in each of the locations, because the locations, you not only have to have presence there, you can sell to more people if you have more technology on your phones. And so there's a technology phase where you're learning new things, or engineering new techs for your phones. And the more techs you have, the more people will buy your phone. So maybe your price is lower, but you have unlocked more techs on your phone, and therefore more people will buy them. And because you have priority, you can sell them in the same areas before all those people who had their price higher than theirs, and they're sitting there going,
Look at all these phones
oh
they
crap,
can't sell.
I can't sell anything here now.
Yeah.
It's just really, really good. It's really smooth. It's very elegant, and I think the action selection is like nothing I have ever seen.
Action crafting.
I think you nailed it when you said you appreciate everything this game does, because I agree. I appreciate everything this game does. I don't appreciate the way I interact
With those things.
what those things are. I'm terrible at this game. I have never even come close to winning this game. It's a terrible game. I suck at it.
It's fantastic. I think one of the things that gets overlooked a lot too is they've got these challenge mode tablets. So instead of just doing the normal tablets where you place some other things and you create your actions, they've got costs. So it's like, oh, you want to do logistics? That's going to cost you $2. Oh, you want to make more phones? That's going to cost you $1 for every one. Oh, you want to do researching? That's going to cost you $3 for researching. And so it's costing you points to upgrade your phones to where then you could try to sell them to make your money back.
Right.
And it's a really interesting, challenging mode to where times at the beginning you're going into the negative because you're trying to spend money to build your company up, to spread your logistics into other countries, to get access to those markets, and to put the new technologies on your phone. But then you've got these technologies that other people don't have, so you could jack the price way up and sell to those people that are looking for those specific technologies. It's a fantastic game.
It's kind of funny because this is a game that, like, Dan and I are kind of polar opposites. Dan went into this game wanting to love it.
Oh
doesn't,
man, I
doesn't
love the
it.
cover and everything and the theme.
I went
Love
into the
it.
game going, ugh, and played it and absolutely love it. Like, it's and that just happens sometimes, right? But again, it's kind of like when there's games that everybody likes at the table that I don't like. It's like, I appreciate what this game's doing, I just don't like it.
Right.
And that's kind of where Dan is with Smartphone, right?
It's,
Not misrepresenting.
No, yeah. I just, again, it is a brilliantly designed game that I am so bad at. I've played it like 5 times and I've never even come in second. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so bad at the game that it's table flip. I'm just so bad at the game. I genuinely find it hard to have fun playing it after playing it,
that's
after
hard.
trying so many times and just having the game punch me in the face. I'm just like, fine,
hard.
I'll play something
That's
else.
not how you play this game.
I will vouch for everybody at this table. Also, though, is everybody here is willing to give the games multiple tries. It's not like Dan played it one time and goes, "This sucks." Like he's been forced to play this game many times, and I say forced, but not really. I mean, well, try it again. Okay, fine. But yeah, Smartphones. I really like it. It's really good.
I really appreciate when I dare to say Euro, when a strategic game can offer points of tension in the game. But I would argue the 5th and final round, when you are crafting your actions and you are waiting to reveal and see if your price is the lowest so that you can have priority and go first that last round is tense.
And there is trading in the Mediterranean in that game, so you technically it's a Euro.
Yes, I'm trading phones for points.
Yeah, in Italy.
Yes.
Yes.
But smartphone, excellent game.
Yep, good pick, Mike. All right, takes us down to number 9.
Number 9.
So number 9, Tim and I love this game, Star Wars Rebellion.
It's very good.
Oh, it's so good.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I was like, that was awkward silence.
Yeah, it was awkward silence.
I'll talk about it later.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this used to be my favorite 2-player game. And while I still love this as a 2-player game, it's one of the
Spoilers.
most epic 2-player games that I have to play. It makes it a little more difficult to get to the table because it's going to take you 90 minutes to get through this whole space opera, but it's fantastic.
Or 2.
Well, it depends. If you love Star Wars, if you love like the original trilogy and even Rogue One and whatnot, this is like playing through the game. You can send Luke to Yoda to get trained as a Jedi. You can free somebody in Carbonite. You can lure people to the dark side. The Empire is just spreading out across the galaxy trying to find the Rebel base and destroy it. The Rebels are trying to stall long enough to earn support to their side and hack through and damage their systems and whatnot to try to keep the Death Star out. It's so fantastic. Like
So many cool things you can do.
So many cool things you can do in this game.
You can do the Death Star run. You can freeze Han and Carbonite. It's like you can just do all the things.
All the Star Wars things you want to do, you can go do.
You can change your Luke by going and having him train with Yoda.
Literally, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's
You can
fantastic.
tell Poe there isn't a plan, but there was a plan all along.
Oh, there was a plan all along.
the Hodo maneuver is amazing.
But no, even the expansion, it fixes the combat too, because that's one of the first things that people complained about in the OG version was the combat was kind of anticlimactic and not great. But when you buy the Rogue One expansions, it fixes the combat and it makes it fantastic. And it's if you love Star Wars, it's worth it. But play at 2 players. It says it can play up to 4, but all you end up doing is one person controls the ground, one person controls the space.
Stupid.
Yeah, just it's a 2-player game.
Don't do that.
Let's
The extra troops that expansion adds, I like a lot too.
I mean, I guess technically it just depends on the dynamic. Like if I was playing with my kids,
sure, then you could each have them control a faction while you beat the crap
because what
out
I
of
would
them.
do is, what I would do is be like, okay, so where do you think we should go? You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay, roll the dice.
Yeah.
Are they really playing? At
Sure
that
they are.
They're
You got to get them
participating.
in. You got to get them in somehow, man.
Okay, sure.
When they're young enough to be satisfied just rolling the
That's right.
dice.
All right,
that's
buddy, your
fine.
turn. Roll the dice. Good job.
Hey, we won. High five.
I mean, you whiffed,
Yeah.
but nice roll.
Yeah. God, you suck at this game.
I want to blow up Alderaan.
Let's do it.
That's my boy.
You know what's funny is I don't think I realized that the combat was broken until I played it with the
newer
Rogue One,
combat?
and then I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, this is better."
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I guess for
okay
me,
before.
I think for me, I was just so
I guess I
excited
just
to be
noticed
playing the
things.
game.
Right, but you were just fine with the combat.
Yeah,
whatever
that,
it was.
I was like, if this is the worst part of this game, then great.
Right. Yeah, even the little
yes.
pieces are fantastic.
Willful acceptance because the game was good.
Yeah, exactly.
That is how I'd
Exactly.
explain it. I felt the same way.
That's not how my brain works. I say, this combat's terrible when I play a game. That's what
I was like, man, this
It
game's
doesn't
so
even-
good. The
He was
combat's
playing Mortal
so
Kombat
good.
when he said that. No. I'll talk more
Fatality.
about Rebellion in a little bit.
Oh, wow. Huh.
All right, my number 9 is my 0.5 new to me this year. Clank Catacombs.
I knew it.
So, I say 0.5 because I
You
love
play
Clank.
Clank, yeah.
I've all
Standard,
all
Sunken
the
Treasure.
3 versions of Clank I've played have been in my top 100. Last time I did the list, I put both Clank and Clank in Space in the
As
same
one
spot
thing,
as
sure.
one thing. This year
Same.
I spread out all 3. Catacombs is by far my favorite version.
Same.
Could potentially be a controversial pick. I love it. It's Clank.
I had it at 16. It's great.
It does more for me than even regular Clank. I enjoy the exploration aspect of it. I think it's really. I like the challenge that it brings. I can understand why some people. I think. I don't know that like if this is somebody's first time playing Clank. I think I would go with one of the other Clanks first to kind of ease them into it, so
Yeah.
they can be a little more familiar with the deck building and the moving and the combat and like how that works. And then, because for me, some of that aspect of Catacombs is so much more important. Because you don't always know, like when you're playing regular Clank, you can see where everything is, right? Even Clank in space, you see where everything is. You're like, okay, I'm gonna try to get over here. That's what I'm gonna do, and you just play your cards. And you try to get over there. With Catacombs, building on that knowledge of like understanding how to build a good move and combat sort of style deck.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go this way and see what happens. I'm gonna go.
It can be a tough one to start on because you can't really plan.
Yeah, it's hard to plan. I don't mind not being able to plan. Like I like kind of going by the seat of my pants with some of that stuff. But I also have years of playing Clank that I've gotten decent at building, a balance,
a decent deck.
Yeah,
to have some movements in there. To have.
Yeah, because you can get away with regular Clank not having a ton of combat because I'm just going to kind of go this path, and I only need like
monsters.
2 swords at any point in time.
Sure.
To get through, some of the stuff. Anyways, I just think Clank Catacombs is really good. I absolutely love it.
A lot of awesome things.
It's very good.
It can be really frustrating. It's really difficult.
The best advice I can give about Clank Catacombs is make sure you set up the tile stack correctly, because that can make the game a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Or impossible.
So Tim has been slowly alluding to the fact that some people, being Dan, doesn't like this game.
Usually when I refer to Dan, I go, you people.
This is by far my least favorite Clank, but I've only played it twice, and I have been told since then that I have been taught it incorrectly, because if you set it up wrong, the game is much harder.
Correct.
And so
Not by me.
I have only played it with the harder thing, and my complaint
mode.
is it's too hard.
Yeah.
So like it might go up if I play it normally,
Yeah.
but it felt like a game. I mentioned this in the review. I think it just felt like a game where you it forces you to build your deck a certain way, or you lose, and that's because I'm playing on this crazy
mode.
hard difficulty.
Yeah.
I'm not pointing at you because you did it. I'm just saying you brought it up.
And you did it.
It's just every time I point at you, Tim goes,
I did it.
Usually I get the rep for, Tim taught a game wrong.
This is true.
So,
Gotcha.
And not to derail the conversation, but your sister taught us a game wrong. We played for 20, 30 minutes, and I took the book and I was like, well, we're supposed to draw cards every turn. She's like, that's what we're doing wrong.
it's a family tradition.
So again, I'm just saying I'm kind of well known on this channel for disliking Catacombs, and I just want to say that I am in the wrong here because I have played incorrectly.
Well, to be fair, you may still dislike it.
I'm just saying I can't
Also,
strongly argue.
To be fair, I played it the first 2 times with challenge mode, I guess.
Activated.
And it's mainly because the starter tiles don't have as much combat on them.
Yeah.
And so you're not forced to be defending yourself. Because, the first 2 times I played very conservatively. I was not buying a bunch of cards with Clank. Especially after dying the first time, I was like, I refuse to take Clank.
That's right.
There will be no Clank in my deck.
And you
I
shall lose.
still died.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I like this game.
Yeah.
And then it just got in my head. I'm like, I have to get through this game. I have to
There's
get
gotta be a way to
through.
finish this
I
game.
gotta make it alive.
Yeah.
And then I did, and I couldn't get enough of it. And
Yeah.
it definitely became my favorite Clank.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, the game comes with 6 starter tiles, and it says to take 2 of them, but then you set those aside, not on top. And so I flipped the 2 and the 4, and so we only had 2 of
Gotcha.
the starter tiles, so that it ramped up way quicker than it was supposed to.
Beginning tiles are easier to maneuver.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think the game is I don't think the luck of the exploration is so punishing that you're like, oh, I can't do nothing with these.
Right.
Like it never gets to that point where I've had some games where bad exploration luck can totally screw your game, and that's not Catacombs. So.
You could Zia right into a sun or something, right?
Zia, you uncultured.
Whatever.
Still great. No, I really like Catacombs. I cannot wait to play the Legacy version. I have the Legacy one. I believe I'm going to play with these guys.
Very good.
We're planning on doing that, and I'm... What?
I saw that.
We've been talking about it for way too long.
Tim said these guys and pointed to you 2 and then went and circled it around. He was like,
Use
these
twos.
guys, and Dan.
No, if I were to skip anybody, it's this clown who's played it like 7 times.
He's gonna know everything.
You know,
I don't know everything.
I'd rather play it with these guys
I'm the one that loses all
than
the
this
time.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you don't
definitely want Mike there because he's going to lose.
He's gonna screw up your legacy.
I'm a good sport.
But anyways, Clank Catacombs is my number 9. Love it.
My number 9 was 17 last year, and that is Big Boy Dune. For anyone wondering, the game is just called Dune. But I call it.
did it.
I'm sitting
I call
here
it,
Big boy dude.
I call it Big Boy Dune by Gale Force 9. It is exactly what I want in games. It is a war game that is more political than fighting. You have to fight, but like it's kind of that like, hey, I'm gonna have to fight you, man. So you're like just so much talking, and the thing that goes into it too that I just love is one of my favorite mechanisms in games is here are the rules. Here's how you break the rules. Here's how you break the rules. Here's how I break the rules. Bob, your ability is absolutely broken and overpowered, and I hate it. And my ability is absolutely broken and overpowered, and I love it. Every single character just does something insanely broken, but one of the most thematic things I've ever seen. You know, you play Atreides and he has limited prescience, and there's a blind draft in the game where you're literally, cards are so important in this game that you're literally spending your currency on a face down card. You're just like, I hope it's a good one because I really need it in order to win. The Atreides gets to look at the card that's about to be drafted, and then they can say, Bob, you want to know what that card is? Maybe give me 5 spice, you know? And they know what's being bid on, and not only do they know what's being bid on, but they're allowed to keep track of all the cards everyone has because of it. So they can literally be looking and be like, okay, Bob has this card, which means he really needs this card. Bob, I think you might know, I think you might want this one, but then at the same time, I could be completely bluffing him because I want him to blow all his spice on this card. And then also the Atreides has the voice kind of thing. It's not called the voice. I don't know what it is, but I think it's also under limited prescience. But they can look at part of your battle plan, right? When you're planning for fighting, they can look at what you're planning to do. And once they see it, you cannot change it. So they're like, oh, you're sending 13 guys? I guess I'll send 14, right? The Bene Gesserit can guess who's going to win and on what round.
My favorite thing is the Bene Gesserit faction. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited.
It's the one I played the most because
please go into Bene Gesserit.
It's the most complicated. But yeah, so at the beginning of the game, they guess who's going to win and on what round. So if they say Atreides on round 4 and Atreides wins on round 4, they win instead.
Hold on, it's not a guess though. They say Atreides is going to win round 4.
True.
And then their goal of their game
yes.
is to see that the Atreides win on round 4.
Yes, because the Bene Gesserit's the only people that can put units on the board that don't have to fight. And there's a limited amount of people that can be in a zone. So basically, they can put people in a zone. Let's say you two are in a zone together. You have to fight. That's how the game works. The second one of you moves in, there's going to be fighting. The Bene Gesserit can go in that zone and not cause fighting, but now there's 2 people in the zone. No one else can move in. So I can basically put my people with your people and say, no one can attack you now. Like, I'm protecting you. And so that's awesome. Please protect me. But also, did you say I was going to win this round? Hold on. There's some really cool. And then obviously they have the voice where I can literally just say, we're about to fight. You have all these different things you can do during the battle. And I can just look at my thing and say, Bob, you're going to play a laser weapon this turn. And you have to, because the Bene Gesserit have the voice. They can mind control you. It is one of the most incredible thematic games I've ever played. And I want to play it. I want to play it every freaking week. Now, it's like a 4-hour game. Yeah. It's a very long game, but I just don't care. I get so into it every time. I had my family who doesn't care at all about the Dune universe and everything, and also usually doesn't care about 5-hour games. They're like, no, thank you. I got them to sit down and play it, and they were like cheering at the end of the game when someone won and everything. It's a really, really good game.
I know that like some people will do like a yearly like Twilight Imperium game, because again, that takes a longer span of time. I would replace that with the Dune, Big Boy Dune, in a heartbeat.
I actually agree. I love Twilight Imperium.
I do too.
But I do think that if I had to choose between the one as a yearly game, I think I'd go with Dune. I
would too.
Want to play it.
And you made up some really nice play raids and everything for your copy.
Yes, I have some personally made player raids to try to. Some are from Board Game Geek. I'm not trying to steal credit there, and some I personally made to try to make it easier. Again, so the Atreides is allowed to remember every card a player has. That's kind of insane, though. So I have a sheet where they can literally mark down the cards that people have in their hands, stuff just to make, because they're allowed to. It's just that mental arithmetic is kind of insane,
especially over the course of 4 hours,
right?
Or for new people,
yeah,
right. So yeah, I do have player raids because it is a bit of a beast, but I think it's a beast well worth playing.
And then the ones he makes for other players have the rules wrong, so that they
wait a minute. Oh, I forgot to mention that.
If Dan is in your territory, you must lose. Oh, that's weird. It even says Dan.
Unless you hit the win on the 4th turn.
Oddly specific.
Okay, someday we'll get it played.
Oh yeah, good pick. Good pick.
My number 9, this is my new to me pick. It's Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Nice.
This is one of my most played games this year. I played it 23 times this year, and I'd play it 23 times more next week if I had the option. I love this game.
And that was just at Origins.
Yeah, we had a booth at Origins. I demoed that game 5 times in a row, and I was ready to do it 5 times again the next day. It just one of those games that just sticks with me. I get it's a game that's not for everybody. It's for me, though. I am not shy about how much I love racing games. And I just love how many times this game comes down to the final turn, where the very last card that somebody reveals determines winning or losing. And that can be so tense and so exciting. I think the game does a really good job of keeping players together. Even if you spin out or if you speed through a turn, this game does a really good job of keeping things tight. And it's just fun to see how different people play this game. Like, some people are trying to conserve their heat and not spend it and play safe. And then you play Jason, who's like, oh yeah, we're going to push our luck as much as we can.
I dump all the heat.
Yes, dumping heat as quickly as they can. I found that it really shines the more I play it. I'm finding like subtle things about this game. Like, it seems really straightforward. Play your highest cards because they move you the most. It's not always that.
No.
It's sometimes about playing the lower card, playing your 3 instead of your 4 so that you can slipstream past that other player. Now you've got your 4 for your next turn and you're ahead of them. Little things like that in this game I just think really stand out over
Or
repeated
inversely,
plays.
saving your low number cards for when you hit those turns.
Right.
And you
So,
can't
I
go
gotta
too
play
fast.
3 cards. I'll play
Yes.
2 2s and a 1. And
Yeah.
I need to prepare to downshift because now my hand is chock full of heat. I can't play those cards. My previous transgressions are now coming back to haunt me because my hand is full of heat. You want to spend those heat cards because they move you quicker around the track, but when you shuffle those heat cards back into your hand, you're stuck with them. You can't play them. So they have that really clever cooldown mechanic to get those cards out of your hand, back into your engine, so that you can use those heat cards again. And it's just that delicate balance of, well, I want to use my heat. I don't want my engine full of heat. That means I'm not pushing enough. But if I run out of heat, I have no leeway around corners. I can spin out far too easily. The garage module is excellent.
Yeah,
When
the upgrade cards are
base
fun.
game is good, but when you add the extra cards and you're drafting new things and you're changing the way you're playing your deck that game, woo! I love Heat. It is a fantastic racing game. I cannot get enough of it. I think it's worth the hype. Late last year release, it's been in the hotness ever since. I think it deserves it. I got it early this year and I just cannot stop playing it.
Yeah. It's a hot pick.
It is.
It is.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
So my number 8 was number 3 last year.
Oh, it's plummeted.
So it is plummeted down, but it stayed in the top 10 because I still love Wonderland's War. It's so good. It's beautiful. The art design on it is fantastic. It's a great bag builder with an area majority with some cool characters. What?
Nothing. Keep going.
Why'd you look at Dan right
I
away?
don't know, because he's making noises over there. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Creepy.
Fitting. I'm glad
But no,
that
it's
came up.
fantastic. Mike recently
Love
got
yelling
his
that.
shipping notification for our
Yeah.
expansion and the updated player boards, which we've been using the printed out, updated ones anyway, just so the rule balance is there.
It makes the Jabberwock a lot more fun to play.
It does, because nobody wanted to be him for a while, but yeah, now you
'cause
can actually play him.
You can just avoid their poison chips, and then you never get to use their ability.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it's great.
It's better
It's
now.
a great game. It can run a little long. So I think 3 players is probably the sweet spot for it, because you start getting up to 4 or 5, and it can really make the game.
Four's okay. 5's a bit much.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic game. It's separated into 2 like basic areas where you have like the inside of the tea party. You're going around this table and you're adding cards to.
Woof.
You're getting the cards, the chips to add to everything, and then you're putting your character out and your minions all around the board in these different locations. But then you don't have to win the fight. There's all these different quests that you can complete just by having a certain amount of power, or just being in here with somebody else, or things like that. And so I like that there's alternate win conditions. You don't have to have the most people in this area all the time. All you do is be there and get to 5. Okay, cool. I completed that quest. I can get some points for that now. And I appreciate how it's not just having the most people in every region.
Or getting the highest on the battle track.
Or getting
every
the
time.
highest on the battle track.
I think that's where it shines for me, too, is all of the different reasons it gives you to stop.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons to stop, whereas a lot of
just
other bag
pushing your
bowling, you
luck
just
the whole
pull as
time.
many as you can. No.
Right.
You're sacrificing a quest if you keep pulling. Stop and get the quest.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
it's
points there.
Really good.
Awesome art. Awesome art.
It's
I
an
love the art.
interesting game.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, playing at 5 players made me want to stop playing it for forever.
Not the recommended
My
player
only
count.
con, it is very long at 5.
Yeah.
Now, I need to play this at 3 players. I'd like to play it again, but with that optimal player count, because the one time I did play it, I was like, no, I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing. Like, I mean, yes, all of those mechanics you stated exist in
Are
the
there.
game.
Yes.
But the joy was not there for me.
Sure.
I just, I thought that I really actually did enjoy the table mechanic more
party, yeah.
than anything else, because I found the battle
very
mechanic
unique.
very frustrating, and I don't know. I normally
5 is a
really
lot.
do like bag building, but yeah, and also it just took forever. And I'm like, golly.
That was like 3.5 hour game.
I thought this game was supposed to be
with
fast.
5,
Everybody said this
At
game was
least
fast.
2 of us were learning too. I played
Right.
your first game as
Yeah.
well. We
Yeah.
were both learning. So I don't know what that adds to it. So
But,
And it's
anyways.
And it's a lot to set up and it's a lot to teach, but it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to explain.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was overly complicated or
Right.
anything.
Very
but,
straightforward.
You do have to kind of
Go
rework
on.
your mentality regarding those battles. Because again, you go in the battle round, your
Right.
gut is to win.
Right. It's like, no.
No,
Yeah.
that's not it.
Hold.
Like, yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
But 3 to 4 is ideal. 2's good, but you lose the wager mechanic, which I love. That
Right.
you
Yeah,
can wager on who's going to win the other battles.
Yeah.
So even if you're not involved, you still have a stake in who wins. I like
and in a
that.
3-player game, you got a 50-50 chance. So that's pretty nice.
And I like steak. He said steak to him. Sorry. Anyways,
It's a well done steak 5 I've ever seen.
oh boy, that's 2 done. Okay, we ready?
Good pick, Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Someone had to say it.
Glad you made a pick, Bob.
Yeah.
All right, my number 8, I absolutely love. It was my 10 last year. Mechs vs. Minions. This is my favorite programming
Nice.
game. This was a game, I bought it when it very first came out. I was in the first set of orders. The components, I have yet to buy a game out of the box that has, for the price point,
component ratios. Yeah.
oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I paid $80 for this game.
Yeah.
And it's got components that I will say rival Foundations of Rome. Foundations of Rome has amazing
Yeah.
components.
The
Hard
inserts
to
and the
argue that.
painted miniatures
The
are
inserts,
fantastic.
pre-painted minis,
Yep. Shaded minions.
shaded minions, just look amazing.
That surprise thing in that big box.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I'm very
so
interested in
cool.
how much money they lost on that, honestly. Like,
I mean, I don't think they would lost money per se. I just don't think they had the because when you make a game, then normally you double it and you double the price and you sell it to somebody. Then they double it and they sell it retail. So
Right.
they just didn't have that second double on there.
Right.
So they still made money.
Well, yeah, they were selling them
Sure.
direct, too.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Only
That's-
from
that's
their
what he's
website.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think they only did like 200 copies or something in the first
It's a
run.
very
and then
limited
they did,
first run.
Then they did a second run, and I don't know that they've done a third one.
I don't recall.
I'm not sure. I might be currently at a pret.
But I just love this damn game. It's really good. It's really satisfying.
League of Legends.
It's super fun. I've never played a League of Legends game, and I go into Mechs versus
Dan loves
Minions.
League of Legends.
Yeah, it's like one of his favorite things.
New to me this year, loved this game.
Oh, okay.
I really want to play it more.
Yeah.
I only played it once. It was really good.
Yeah, it's
fun.
It's my first program movement game, and it's my favorite one.
I think it's my first
hilarious.
real program game. Yeah, because like I've played as the birds in Root.
Oh, sure,
right?
sure.
But like I think it's the first time I played a full-on programming game, and yeah, no, it was really good.
Well, and even when the game starts to smack you around a little bit, and you start getting those damage cards.
That's what I was gonna say. I love how you're programming this up. You're this guy and this like little mech thing, and you're pulling levers and doing stuff, and then you take damage, and then that card replaces the card you thought you had there. So now this lever that used to make you go forward makes you turn. All of a sudden, and you're trying to finagle with that and get it to go. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I enjoy it quite a bit. And again, I think thematically, like it makes sense. It's just I love this game. It's so good.
It's fun.
I'm impressed with the League of Legends universe because while I strongly dislike League of Legends, they did a great job turning it into this board game that's nothing like the video game, but it has minions, ads, and everything, right? But then also Legends of Runeterra, whatever it's called, is a TCG in the universe that tells a totally different feel and everything. So they're doing a good job with their world building in that. So
sure, yeah. So Mechs vs Minions, that's my number 8.
Stay tuned for a sideshow where we let Dan talk about why he hates League of Legends.
My number 8 was 12 last year, and that is my can't think of what it's called right now. It's
Pony?
Ankh Gods of Egypt. It's the trilogy. I can't think of what it's called right now.
The Eric Lang trilogy?
Yeah, sure. Just the Eric. I thought that was a cooler name.
The Holy Trinity.
Gods of Egypt.
Yeah, something different.
I don't know what I really need to say about this. I won't get any arguments at the table on this. Well, Bob doesn't love it, I guess, but that's just because Bob always does bad, and Bob doesn't like when he does bad at games.
Also true.
Well, that is true. I will say that when the time I played it the first time, it was a 5-player game, and I was sitting next to Tim, and he would literally take the non-optimal move to prevent me from doing the things I wanted to do.
Listen,
well, I don't
it was optimal.
I don't think Tim ever purposely takes the non-optimal move.
No, he did.
Right?
He literally said, "This is not the best move for me, but I'm going to do this because I don't want you to do it." And I was like, "Cool."
Which
thanks.
made it the best move for me.
It's true that if you're going late in a turn, you can get really stuck having to take actions you don't want to take. That can happen in the game. I've just never felt it as I don't know. I just think that all the actions are good and it's just a really good area control Egypt themed game. Everyone knows what it is. You know Blood Rage. You might not know Rising Sun. I feel like it's the least popular of the three, but you know Ankh. It's just really good, and I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. Check it out.
Cool. Might get talked about later.
Ankh is actually the lowest ranked of them. Still.
Well, it's also the newest, but sure.
I do like the Egyptian theme of it.
Yeah.
I love Egyptian theme and everything. Yeah.
Same. Rah.
Ankh is amazing. I like all the different scenarios you can set up.
I've still only played 2 scenarios too, and the game feels different every time. So I can't imagine playing more scenarios.
I don't want to talk about it anymore though, because I don't think anybody else will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's never gonna come up again.
Never come up again.
Thank God.
Ever.
5 minutes later.
All right, I said I like racing games. My number 8 is Cubitos.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guess it too.
It's barely a race.
This is the one that this one just works for me. It does everything I want in a game. I really like racing, and I really like rolling dice, and I love combos. Especially
the food.
Pizzeria pretzel.
Every
Every time I say it, I wait for it, and I'm like, all right, which time do I like this time? Let me go with the Buffalo Ranch. You start with a very basic set of dice that allow you to move or buy better dice. So you buy better dice, and then you roll more, and now you're starting to get those better dice to hit combos for you. And it can be like, okay, I hit the orange, and that allows me to grab these two and roll those, and there's a shield, I'll save that in case I bust. Okay, I'll keep rolling. Now I've got one that's gonna allow me to move 4, and you just keep activating and rolling all these dice, and sometimes you're rolling 16 dice on a turn, and you're literally activating 14 dice on one turn, one after another. It just feels so good. It builds up so fast. The first game I played with Tim, it's funny. We always talk about how I'm not very good at games, and that's fine. I'm the guinea pig. I get beat in games all the time. But I played Tim the first time in Cubitos, and we're playing. Everybody's having a good time. It's just me and Tim. It's like, oh yeah, this is pretty fun. I'm only about halfway around the track, and then and I went all the way past the finish line and some, and moved 20 on some turn.
Why are you making that noise? Oh, you just won.
Yeah.
It's 20 on one turn, and that's just how this game is. It builds up to these awesome combo-tastic super huge turns where you can go halfway around the track in one turn.
Yeah, I was like, I moved 5 this turn. That's exciting.
The variability is why I have this above heat. Every die has 6 different ways to activate them. I don't remember.
Checks out.
No.
Are you talking about the
Every
different cards?
color of die has a different icon, but there's
Kinda like a
6
Quacks
different
type of thing.
cards for
Yeah.
each die that makes that die work differently.
Yes.
And there's like 8 different colors of dice, and so you mix those all together, and you just could create a very different type of combo every time. It just works so well for me. I think Kubitos is fantastic.
I like the catch-up mechanic, so if you bust too many times, you go up on this other track, and that kind of can help you to catch up to people if you're losing. I really like the fact that there's a card named Bob in it, so
There is.
automatically points there. And then they're negative points, but they're still points. And then I also like how it's basically like a deck builder for dice, because you're like drawing from your pool, and then once your pool runs out, you take your discard pool, and it becomes your draw pool.
And draw
then
from those.
Yeah, so that's really neat. Like, basically makes a deck builder out of those dice.
It is my favorite catch-up mechanic in a game. If you bust, you move up a track that has progressively better rewards as you go up the track. And that can be credits to buy better dice, or it
your hand
increases
size.
your die limit. And now, hey, maybe I busted 5 times in a row, but I'm rolling 3 more dice than you are. I'm going to catch up.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic... It actually makes busting feel good. Like,
Right.
you're like, oh, man, I busted. Like,
All right, Ghostbusters,
Yeah, I
let's
was
calm
just
down.
gonna say. It's Ghostbusters
oh,
reference.
boy.
Calm
at
down,
least you
Ray
went there
Park
with
Jr.
it.
That
Ray
was
Parker Jr.
my number 8 was Kubitos. I am excited for the Foul Play expansion that should be out next year.
It was very fun. I feel compelled to say this every time because people just tend not to know it, I guess. Like Bob is calling out Quacks like a weirdo. It's just Couriers. If you like Couriers or Dice Masters, it's almost the exact same system, but they turned it into a racing game instead. And I think they did a really good job with that. Instead of just fighting, you are doing the dice thing with
I
racing.
love Couriers. I like Dice Masters. The problem with Dice Masters is you have to have a set. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
where Couriers, you can just buy the box.
Yes,
and-
Dice Masters was turned into like a TCG kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
feeling
yeah.
thing in it.
Yeah, I haven't played Couriers yet. I just meant Quacks as in like how each of the different like elements
You can
have different
change
cards.
what the die do.
Couriers does
Right.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's not knowing that makes you go to the Quacks
Sure.
reference when there's a much closer reference, but it doesn't
Because it's
matter.
just dice. Yeah.
Fair enough.
John D. Clare, AEG. This is just
Never
a
heard of
game that's like made for me. I'll always rate it way higher than anybody else does, and that's fine. This game just is a home run for me personally.
Yeah. And the quote of the day so far is "Bustin' makes me feel good."
Yes, it does.
Let's not write that one down, Mike.
Oh, we got Tim-isms now.
Yeah,
Those
well,
are
that was a
totally different than the
Mike-ism.
Bob-isms.
All right, so my number 7.
7.
Was 10 last year, so skyrocketing into the future is The Past, Downfall of Pompeii.
Yeah.
I love The Downfall of Pompeii. It's one of my favorite games. It came out like I think 2013. It's an older Mayday game, kind of hard to find now. But at first, you're just bringing everybody into the town. You're to watch the volcano show us the signs of the gods, and then it erupts, and
Oops.
then you're trying to get back out of town. And after that, you get rid of the cards. You're switching to tiles. You're pulling lava tiles out and running people over them. You're chucking people into volcano because that's always fun.
If only those people had paid attention to history class, they would have known
They
what
would
happened
have
to
known,
Pompeii.
yeah, not the place to be. Yeah,
Like, can we settle down somewhere else?
yeah, no.
So you're saying that the smartest people are the ones who don't play it because they know that like history, like you want to avoid Pompeii.
I mean, by smart, you mean people that don't like fun? Yes.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always get that confused.
How do these people know anyway? Are they the prognosticator of prognosticators? They're like, that's gonna erupt. We better build our
It was
the house
billowing
close to the
smoke
exit.
and, you know, it's a sign from the gods, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Science.
But I played this at 2. I played it at 3. I played it at 4 players. It's fun on every player count, and it's just a blast. You get a chance to play it, I totally recommend it. I'm working on. I want to make a giant version of this. It's not going to be cheap, but I think it'd still be so much fun to actually just pick somebody up and like chuck them into like a person size.
Not a person, but a like cut up pool noodles.
Well,
Depends how
then
big they
I'm
are.
out.
Okay.
Depends how big they are.
That means I'm getting chucked into the
love
wall.
to
Just stick the fingers to throw Tim into a
Going in, Tim.
Dang it. And you know I'm not going to not play. Like, I know it's going to happen, but I really want to play down
okay.
Pompeii.
We'll start with appendages.
Yeah. Great game, though. I love it.
Oh, it's so good. So much fun. Yeah. Wonderful pick. All right. My number 7 was my number 5 last year. It is plummeting.
What?
Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. I love this damn game. It's so good. It's by far my favorite Gamelin games. I could honestly, none of the Tiny Epic games have. I mean, they're all fine. There's not been one where I'm like, this is amazing. I love it. I must play it all the time.
Oh, so you haven't heard about Tiny Epic Game of Thrones?
Well.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw it. Let's see.
I saw it and I'm like, ooh.
If you only play as Littlefinger, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good. Well done, sir. Thank you. But no, the Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. There's so many different factions. I have everything for it. But it is a true 4X. You've got the way you've got your player board and you do your action selection is so cool because you also you upgrade your abilities, but all of your abilities are unique than to everybody else's. You're going around, you're exploring, the different regions, which then are gonna, you're gonna reveal those exploration tokens, which are gonna give you different things, some good, some bad. Sometimes it's a tunnel right next to your main tower, which then it's like, man, where's the entrance to that tunnel gonna pop up? And I probably shouldn't forget about that. Maybe I should be paying attention to that. And then when somebody else uses that to beat me, then I don't have to take my turn back.
Why is that player loading up on troops?
That's
Why
weird.
did that player buy a range character and put him next to the teleport? That's weird.
That's so weird.
He's probably just guarding it.
Yeah, just guarding it. This didn't happen to me, thankfully, but it did help me win the game.
Son of a...
No, this game's just super cool. I love playing with different factions every time I played it, and I just really appreciate the 4X, the real 4X aspect of this game, and it doesn't really feel like it overstays its welcome because I think it plays relatively quick because the actions are kind of limited. I can do this, and the way that some guys can be played on like both kinds of actions, and then the other set of guys can only be played on the one style of actions. And I know I'm explaining this very vaguely, but I don't want to say anything like
I've played
too
it and I'm
wrong.
lost.
Well, you got like the workers. Like this guy can go in both places. This guy can only go on this side. Sure. But you can also then send guys out, and then different guys can like harvest stuff for you. You know what I mean? When you take that action, so you're like,
Like
there's
multi-use workers.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good, really fun. And then when you start unlocking those special characters, and you're like, oh, where's that guy going?
I do like the big player boards that you have.
Yeah, the big player boards are beautiful. And then again, you're going to get a different kind of game every time because even if everybody played with the same factions, you're still going to have different...
Unlock things differently.
Yeah, you're going to unlock things differently. And I've seen the game end with exploration. I've now seen the game end with somebody destroying somebody's tower twice. I've seen the game...
Twice in one game?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's weird. But it's just really cool how you can trigger the end game different ways, and it's still, even if you trigger it, doesn't mean you're going to win because, well, I probably, triggered that too early because I'm not getting enough points over here. And I just really like it. It's really fun. A+.
Haven't played it.
It's really good.
It's okay.
My number 7 was 4 last year, and that is Nemesis Lockdown. I just say Lockdown now. Nemesis would be a little lower than Lockdown, and I just don't feel it necessary to take up 2 spots on such similar games.
Yeah.
But Nemesis Lockdown is a fantastic Awakened Realms game where you're basically playing through the alien universe. Lockdown is kind of more like a Doom kind of thing, but it's whatever. You're people that wake up on a ship or are let out of prison on a planet, and there are creatures in the dark, and you are exploring and trying to figure out how to escape so that you can survive. It is semi-cooperative, which I know is a word that tends to be frowned upon in gaming, but I freaking love it. I think semi-cooperative makes games so much better. Where basically you're like, listen, Tim, I need you this turn or we're going to die, but next turn I'll probably kill you. Like that.
Well,
that kind
luckily
of thing.
I need you too.
Yeah.
And
Nemesis
also,
Lockdown, what it adds to the game, if you've only played Nemesis, it's just all net positives. There's a darkness mechanic now to where if you're in the light part of the part that has electricity of the planet, then you have bonuses when you're fighting aliens versus negatives if you're fighting in the dark. There is a new contingency thing where basically there's an AI now that says this is how the game's going to end, and everyone starts knowing one piece that isn't how the game's going to end, and you can kind of go to certain places on the board and look at each other's pieces and look at the ones that are on the board, and you're trying to deduce what the end game is, because the end game might say kill everyone in escape pods, right? That's what the AI is going to do. So you need to make sure you don't escape via escape pod this game,
because they're going to do that.
I just think that's a very interesting thing to add to Nemesis, to where the first Nemesis was always just get to an escape pod and escape. Now you could go to the that word. Now you could go there and
hibernate
in a
hibernatorium,
something like that. Now you could go there technically, but it was just easier to get in an escape pod and get out. So I just think everything Lockdown did, literally everything, is a net positive. Except I think that being on a spaceship is slightly more interesting than being on a mining planet. But whatever. It's just a fantastic game. If you like Nemesis Lockdown is a pure upgrade. And if it sounds interesting to you at all, check it out. It's a bit expensive, but I think it's worth it, and it has a really interesting hand system where you have a hand of cards basically, and to play cards you have to discard other cards, right? That kind of thing you've seen before. Some cards can only be played in combat, some can only be played out of combat, all that kind of stuff. And it has a pass system basically where it goes around until people can pass, until everyone passes. It's just really good game. Check it out.
I think this is a weird kind of experience for me, because Nemesis I enjoy, but there's some problems I have with it, where Lockdown adds all of these really cool things. It doesn't exactly fix any of the problems that I had with Nemesis, but at the same time it adds enough cool things that I'm much more inclined to play Lockdown, because I find the darkness mechanic, like that elevator, you know, and some of those things so much fun and add to the tension to an already tense game, because Nemesis is super tense.
Right.
I'm gonna sneak over here. Well, there's noise coming from over there. You know, I'm gonna roll it. There's noise coming from all but one spot, and it's if I do a thing in here, I gotta roll a die, and it might trigger, because if the noise comes from the same spot that there's already a noise token, the alien comes out. So, but you're I really need to get in there and do it. So I'm gonna kind of push my luck. So I think Lockdown is an improvement on a really good game, and it just kind of adds more cool things. I would say if any of what Dan said is interesting to you, I think you'll be fine with either Nemesis or Lockdown.
Right.
I would just prefer Lockdown, but I think they're both really solid games, and the components and the art.
Right.
Oh my God, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, anyways, I just wanted to add that. I just think that was...
Yeah, whatever you want, man. You got people out there that care about what you think.
Not many.
It's weird.
Both of them, though.
Both of them.
Man, that's my whole budget for the year, too, is paying them.
You're going to lose that paper, man.
All right, Mike.
My number 7 we talked about, because sometimes Bob is right. Ooh. It's Wonderland's War.
Nice.
It was number 6 last year. I haven't played it in a little while. I think I'm sort of just waiting for my second edition stuff.
Yeah, I want my upgraded stuff to...
Yeah. I have first edition. I did not get the deluxe, and then Bob got the deluxe. I'm like, wow, my version's clearly inferior. Even though I took the time to put the coin capsules on it, but I still just love the game. But they are, of course, balancing the player boards. So they're nerfing the Mad Hatter a little bit, because I agree is definitely too strong. And the Jabberwock needed a little help with its abilities, because other players could just actively avoid his poison tokens, so they've helped with that.
Well, is he the one that came out with a misprint too? One of them had someone had printed out a paper that we were overlaying on the player board.
That was just the corrected.
Updated.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a misprint. misprint. They just rebalanced.
Oh, they
it.
tweaked it a little bit.
And yeah, the Jabberwock's a lot more fun to play now, for sure. If I don't know, more powerful. He feels more powerful, but he's just more fun to play.
And while the coin capsules are nice, I really just feel like the case that the upgraded coins come in is so nice.
Yes.
Keeps everything organized, and the coins are just, they're really nice. It's worth it. It all fits in the box still.
Yeah.
So it's
and it's
worth
a
it.
magnetic tray. You literally just
Put it out. There it is.
open, done setting up chips. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, my solution, I did have containers for all the different chips and coin capsules and everything, but I saw that and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Plus, they have more heft to them, of
They do,
course.
yeah. Well, heft is
But I also wanted to add that we did not talk about, we have not played with any of the alternate versions of the abilities.
This is true.
There's 4 versions of the abilities on every chip,
Yeah.
and we've only played with the
With the
core
A
set.
base, yeah.
And there's 3 other sets of abilities that give you totally different gameplay options, and that's what the other expansion we didn't talk about is adding as well, is different abilities and different what do they call them, guardians or not guardians? That's
Like the minions or whatever.
the people that you can recruit.
Yeah, there's a special word for it.
Wonderlandians. Wonderlandians. There's more Wonderlandians, that kind of stuff.
Hibernatorium.
So,
Hibernatorium.
there is a new expansion, and there's still versions of the chips we haven't played yet. When we get that second edition stuff, I argue we play with a different set.
I will argue
Fine.
that we play it at 3 players.
So just
I
to be
can't
clear, then, the
argue.
game might be the most unbalanced piece of garbage ever, and you just wouldn't know because you haven't played the other ability.
I mean, I'm having so much fun with the base set.
game, yeah.
Dan's,
Ventured
Dan's,
into.
I'm trying so hard.
Dan's review of Wonderland's War. Unbalanced piece of garbage.
Probably.
But yeah, really left a lasting impression on us last year. Can't wait to play with the new stuff.
All right. Takes us down to number 6. So number 6 is my last new to me this year game. It is my new favorite 2-player game, Sky Team.
Crazy.
It is so good.
It
like,
is.
I have played this game with so many people. I have taught so many people. We have played online so many times.
lot.
We have played. I don't want to look up right now, but unbelievable amount.
I was gonna say, do you think this is your most played game of the year now?
Probably
Yeah,
yes.
because
is
I've
mine.
seen you play it
is.
nonstop.
Yeah.
Even not logging BGA, it's my most played.
Yeah, well, maybe if it have to include BGA, I think, for me to hit that, because I've played like Scout a lot of times, like IRL and whatnot. But with BGA accounts on there, like Levi and I, like just back to back to back. Mike and I, back to back to back. Like, you know, I go out to meet people at like a meetup. We play it 2-3 times in a row. Like, I go out and I teach people. Like, nobody that I've played it with has not enjoyed it. And it just is so many unique things with like the limited communication and like the way they do the dual layer player board. And there's like 20 modules in there with like the approach tracks, right? With different airports you can go to, and they all have different, like, what's the weather like? Do you have to do turns with wind? Is there interns? Is there a kerosene leak? There's just so much you can do with this game in this little tiny box, and it's fantastic. Like,
All of the content in that box with
Yeah.
all the airports and the mixing of modules and choosing your special powers.
there's just so much you can do.
It's a lot, and it feels different when you play it with different people.
Yeah, 'cause
Different
they have
people play it very differently.
They play it differently for sure, and it's funny is because I had taught Patrick, and then I guess he went to play with Julia, and he didn't disclose to her the strategy that I disclosed to him. That kind of helps out.
Now
And
who's the bad teacher?
Right, yeah, and then she plays like a 6 on like the axis die the first time, so the plane like spins out of control, and he's like, "Why would you do that?" She's like, "Well, you didn't tell me not to." And yeah, it's funny. It's a good time.
It was 35 for me. It is a great game, and I've said it before, like literally last video, maybe, I'm not sure, but Scorpion Mask is
Yeah.
the publishing company to have your eye on right now.
Yeah.
They are
Crushing
swinging.
it.
They are hitting 1,000. What's that expression?
1,000.
There you go.
This was number
I don't like
12 for
baseball.
me.
Yeah, I don't
Going
know
into
baseball.
Gen Con,
Yeah.
this was the one game I had to buy. I didn't care if I bought anything else. Said that's the game I got to buy, and I do not regret it. It's
and so
amazing.
based on a video that we had watched to learn to play it, we were playing it wrong initially, like with one of our die. And
I don't know
once
if
we
it was-
changed that rule.
I don't
like,
know if
holy
that
cow, it's so much harder.
video was wrong or if I just interpreted it wrong. I'll blame it on me.
Yeah, we're gonna blame it on Mike. I am totally
Checks out.
100% behind that.
They're a great channel that does tons of tutorial videos. It's sure that I misinterpreted.
Yeah, and it was super late when we learned it, and then we never like went back to the book to double check it.
It was like watching a video at like 2 a.m. Like, okay, seems easy enough. This is how it should work. And then like, oh, we've been playing this wrong.
Yeah.
Playing with the board
Still
upside
fun.
down the whole time.
Yeah. Apparently you're supposed to go down.
Oh, we're taking off now?
Yeah, wait a minute. This is a completely different game now. It increased speed.
No, it's
and
fly
lift
team.
off. Yeah, it's fly team.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Get that landing gear up.
All right, my number 6 was my number 6 last year.
Ooh, consistency.
It is my favorite 2-player game of all time. It is Star Wars Rebellion.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing against Sky Team. I haven't
Sure.
played it near as much.
Right.
The Sky Team is awesome. I'd like to play it more. But man, Star Wars Rebellion. I'm a big Star Wars fan. This is one of the best IP conversions
Yeah.
ever. For me, I just love the experience that it provides, the stories that we tell after playing it. Oh man, you were like so close to getting me. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
the debrief.
the cat and mouse kind of everything too.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love playing both sides. I don't care what side I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like I just want to play the game. I just really like it. I like for all the things that everybody said earlier.
I didn't say anything.
Well, you know. But yeah, this game's just really good. It's really solid. It is crunchy, but it is my favorite 2-player game of all time.
If it's solid, if it's crunchy, it has to be solid, doesn't it?
Usually
Right.
tends
Typically.
to. Yeah.
Hollow. And
It could be hollow and crunchy.
like Captain Crunch. Is that
You
hollow?
know, like Cheez-Its are technically hollow on the inside. It's just.
I mean, they're puffed, but they're
porous.
crunchy.
and they have the puffy versions too.
That's
Those
right.
are
Yeah.
very hollow.
That's right.
Yeah, and less crunchy though.
That's true as well.
Yeah, but I'm hollow without being crunchy. I'm soft. And hollow.
No, you're dead on the inside.
That's also true. It's all dead space. No, but this is just, again, Fantasy Flight. The insert sucks. Get a new one. But
What insert?
yeah.
yeah, right. The well.
Actually,
Wait, there's
I
this
use
one
mine.
company that's notorious for making those. It's not published by them, is it?
Fantasy Flight made.
I know.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, what? Huh?
Wait, well?
No, we were at a Geekway and I won the insert, or I got the insert
Did you?
at a Geekway. I thought I did.
Was it a Geekway? Oh,
Yeah.
Geekway, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, at a Geekway. I got it.
So
Totally.
my
I got the
number
insert.
6.
Totally derailed
Remember
Tim's.
that time?
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. Then
Tell us
we
about your
played games.
favorite
Yeah.
Cheez-It flavors.
Yeah.
White cheddar.
Cheese.
I remember.
It was a good one.
It.
Oh,
Extra
Pepperidge
toasty
Farm
ones are the
remembers.
best.
Farm remembers.
Extra toasty.
extra toast.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Overcooked.
Dan,
We're not describing
Sorry.
Mike's vacation.
My number 6 was 6 last year.
more consistency.
Look at that.
Quit
Tim.
copying me.
I know. Stop going before me. And that is Tapestry.
Oh, it's so good.
Everyone knows what a big fan I am of Tapestry. When I first played Tapestry in Tim's garage, I was like, I might actually come here more often.
Yeah, weird.
No, but genuinely, I was like, holy crap, I think I might love that game. Like, I literally said like a sentence like that. And then we wound up playing it again, like that same week or something, I think
Yeah.
we played it again.
Because I think I played it pretty early on again with you and your brother. Like I went to your house and taught it.
Oh,
your
okay.
brother.
Okay. He's played it quite a few times actually. For being someone who doesn't play a lot of board games, it might be his most played of mine. And then I bought it, and I have just played it so many times. I love this game. It was slightly mismarketed. It shouldn't have been marketed as such a civvy game because it's just not. Thanks. But I do think it does give that feeling though of you building up a civilization. It's just so abstract. But like I do like the card system of being like, first I made fire, then I became a warring nation, then I became a dystopia, then I became like I do think those cards, like at the end of the game, I do like have people read their civilization story according to those cards and like laugh about them. I think it is kind of funny.
Yeah, you can. It's very easy to totally ignore that, but it is
Right.
there.
My biggest issue with the game is I wish the center board was more interesting. It's just you put a thing out and you topple someone else's thing. Now, they've come out with a lot more asymmetric civilizations that do interact with the center board more, but you have to be playing those in order to feel it. If you're playing someone who doesn't, like the spies or whatever that interact with your opponent's hand, like that's a super awesome, fun thing, but it doesn't interact with the board any more than normal, so you are still just feeling that kind of like the game is all out here, and then there's this weird, gigantic board in the middle of the table that barely gets touched. It tends to feel that way a lot, but I just don't care. I love it every time. The asymmetric civilizations feel so fun. The components are incredible. When I first played it, it became my standard for components. Now, I think the argument that Mechs vs. Minions has better components could be pretty easily made, but it's not components that you get in a normal game. Like, Tapestry has the components that you want every game to have. You want every game to have these beautiful feeling boards and rule books and everything, and the board quality is good, and the miniature building things are good. Mechs vs. Minions, you're not going to have those components in El Grande,
right?
You know, but you could have Tapestry level quality in El Grande. So that's kind of why Tapestry's always kind of been my staple of like every game should be like this. I freaking love it. Stonemaier hit it out of the park with Tapestry. I still play it as much as I can, and I love it.
This is Stonemaier's most underrated game.
Yeah.
It really is. This game, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite. It's not my favorite Stonemaier game because that's Between Two Castles.
Sure.
But this game, like, I'll play it anytime. It's so good. It's so fun to run up the different sides of the tracks. Like, it's so fulfilling. Building out your player board. Yeah, that board in the middle is boring, but this board right in front of me is so damn good. It's so much fun.
The Sudoku capital building is just incredibly engaging.
Yes. Yeah. I think my biggest complaint is sometimes when you're trying to rush to get some of those cool buildings on the
landmarks.
board, the landmarks, and then somebody beats you to it, and it's like, you know. But there's cards, the text.
They say like, oh, if you get to a spot and the landmark's already gone, gain something else.
Yeah, but the innovations you can get will be cards too,
There's
right?
also
so if you can play those, you can get those extra buildings and stuff.
In the first expansion too, everyone gets a building that they have that is a landmark you can work towards. It's basically like once you do X, it's like a side objective, you instantly get that landmark building. So it kind of makes you get one that you can always get regardless on if someone else is beating you in the military track.
And again, it's not enough to make me like go, I don't like it. It just kind of, sometimes it's like, oh, I was so close to getting that.
I feel like I've played it a lot. Some of the factions I enjoy and are fine, but sometimes I get two factions, I'm like, I don't like either one of these. And there's just so many of them that are just kind of...
I'd also be interested in seeing if any of those are the ones, because again, this is Stonemaier's biggest problem. The game comes out, and then an errata comes out that buffs some, nerfs others. Then a second errata comes out that fixes that. Like, they tend to... I know he playtests the hell out of his game, so I don't know how his games always have to get errata after they come out, but it does tend to happen. But... The fixes do help, and I wonder if some of those are. Don't get me wrong, you're gonna have some factions you don't enjoy, right?
Sure.
Like even if it's a really powerful faction, I don't like that strategy. Yeah, but I do feel like balance-wise, they are much better than they used to be for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know which civ it is because I don't know the game well enough. But to your point, one of the balances for one of those was, they start with 20 points. Like,
yeah.
There's got to be a better way to do it.
That's true. It's because of I want to say that's like the Futurist.
I was going to say the Futurist. Yeah. I thought that was what that one was. But.
My favorite one is, oh man, I freaking love it. I've only played it twice. There is one that you have to predict how much of everything you're going to have by the end of the game.
The Bene Gesserit.
And you get basically, and you get more points for what that is. Like how many landmarks you're going to have, how high on each track you're going to be. Like there's just all these things that you just guess at the beginning of the game. And then the whole time you're just working towards that. So you're like, okay, I got this landmark. I need to not get any more for the rest of the game and stuff. It's just a very interesting game that you're playing with that. I like it a lot. But that is Tapestry.
Great pick. Love this game.
Yep. I talk about it a lot. And it's not going to be disappearing anytime soon.
No, hell no.
It is a good game. This is the first game I ever played where I thought this might be overproduced. And I only say that because my personal preference, you've got wonderfully painted, beautiful buildings that sit out on the main board. When you gain them, what do you do with them? They sit on your player board. That's just my personal.
You're not going to play with them. They have to sit somewhere.
Okay, but you don't interact with them. They go from here, and then they go there, and that's their function
but they
for the whole game.
it.
But they fill out your Sudoku.
Yeah,
They could be a piece of cardboard.
Sure, they're literally creating your capital city, so you actually have a skyline and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I see why they did it
So
for
could
sure.
Foundations of Rome, but nobody'd like it near as
when
much
I'm
if it was just
moving
cardboard.
pieces around, I care about that tactile experience or like what it looks like. Like I want a miniature to move around the board over a cardboard chit, but
Mike.
like to me, those buildings sitting on my player board.
Didn't you just spend hundreds of dollars on a Castles of Burgundy that just
I
sits
also
on your
did
player board?
not. I also, to this point, I'm glad you mentioned it, did not pay for the miniature
The actual
expansion
minis.
so that every building is a
Has its
miniature that sits on my player board the whole game.
Sure, no, I get it. I just totally understand that in this instance, they are purposely creating a skyline of all the different buildings. And so I can see the thematic reason they did it. I also just think for the price, it's not overproduced. Overproduced would mean it's
Right.
overpriced because of its production.
Right.
But it's a pretty darn affordable game. It's not like all these 3D buildings made it a $100 game. It's an average priced game. So I don't know how they did it.
I agree.
I don't think overproduced and overpriced are mutually exclusive.
No, but
that
they
would
one
do-
be-
typically
they-
follows the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, if you can get Foundations of Rome production for $50, I would not call it an overproduced game. It's worth every penny. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying with that. But, you know.
sure.
Okay.
Here's where we're going to start to get a lot of crossover. My number 6 is Ankh Gods of Egypt.
Never heard of it.
What's
What
that about?
game?
This is my favorite Eric Lang game, my favorite game of the trilogy. I really like the action selection system because you got to start at the top. And well, you don't have to start at the top, but you take 2 actions on your turn, and the second one has to be below the other one because they're in like rows. But the card battling mechanic that is used in many other games that I love, many of which I'll talk about later.
Can't be that many.
Yeah, so yeah, only like 5 left.
Yeah, there's only one more.
He's Mitch McConnell there. He's like, buffer.
It's going to get talked about more. It's really
will.
good. The interaction is fantastic. The card play, battle mechanic is fantastic. And I like how it improves upon the other games. You see influences of Blood Rage and Rising Sun. But then it's like you can play the Loki strategy. You don't have to wait to draft a card. It's already on your player board. You just got to buy that hunk power. I really like that.
You brought up something that is true, and again, it'll get talked about more later. But you brought up something that's true that I just really like, that the interesting balance in just those 4 actions is just interesting, because it's like, oh, you want to take followers? Well, that's like the weakest action in the game, so you can take anything as your second one, right? Because it's like the highest one. I think it's the highest one. It's either first or second.
pretty close.
But then like, oh, you want to get the new Ankh power, whatever, the bottom one, well, that's the most powerful action. So if you do that as your first action, you can't
That's it.
do anything
That's all you
else.
get to do.
And I just think that's a interesting little balance thing going on.
The way you
there,
take
so,
the action
yeah.
matters depending on how powerful that action
Oh,
is.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting.
Even though we'll talk about more, and since it is my pick, I'll finish with the one thing I've never seen another game do, which is amazing, is the camel action, where you redraw the territory lines.
Yep.
You're not only redrawing the line, you're changing the order that the battles take
Changing
place
the
in,
flow
and
of
this can
history.
completely change your game.
Yeah,
On
that's
a
huge.
surface
If you
level,
are not utilizing that camel action as often as possible, you are probably losing. That action is so impactful to the game.
On the surface, I remember first seeing that action going, well, that's the dumbest action I've ever seen in a game. And then you play and you're like, oh my God, this might be the most important action in the whole game.
Yeah, because I think people really
Estimate.
underestimate how, because like, yeah, changing battle lines in an area control game is huge on its own, but it's boring. But the fact that when you do that, you can then swap two numbers.
The order in which they resolve. Yeah.
That is insane in a game. Like, okay, we're fighting in this order. No, we're not. I want to fight in this order. Uh-oh, Mike just now has a huge advantage in combat now because of that. It's very
This territory that was going to be resolved last is now going to be resolved first because I'm going to win that battle and it's going to give me stuff I can use in the other battles. Really good.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest part of the game for me to understand is when that is important.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I liked this game more. I haven't even talked about it in my top 50.
Man, he sucks.
All right. So before we get into our number 5, let's have a listen to our sponsor.
Lasercraft Workshop would like to introduce our set of 3D printed damage counters for popular trading card games. These stackable damage counters allow you to easily track damage assigned to cards during a battle. The set comes with 16 yellow 10s, 7 orange 50s, and 7 red 100s for a total of 30 counters. Lasercraft Workshop is accepting pre-orders now. To pre-order your set of these damage counters, visit the link in the description below or head over to lasercraftworkshop.com.
Wow, those are some cool tokens, weren't they, guys?
Thanks, sponsor.
That was super
Man,
cool.
those
I
were
would totally
nice.
buy that product.
I actually do love counters like that. They're very useful.
Okay. All right. So that's going to bring us back to our number 5. My number 5 was number 8 last year, so skyrocketing. We'll probably hear more about this game in a little bit, but it is Empire: Age of Discovery. By friend of the show, Sir Glenn Drover. It's a fantastic game where you're exploring the new world. You have all these different types of workers, and you're placing them out in different orders on different locations, and they're coming across the ocean, and you're populating different spaces and getting more resources to send back, and it's just a ton of fun. We've played the crap out of this game.
How many times have you played it this year, Bob?
A few. Probably
Okay.
once or twice at least.
Okay.
Why?
I just don't remember hearing about it.
Oh.
Like, hey, having a game
Usually
night.
it's because it's like,
Friends
hey,
and
we're gonna
family.
play this awesome game. Let's not tell Dan.
Okay.
I know I played it at least once.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine then.
Okay.
I just
Is that allowed?
I just hadn't heard you talk about it. It moved up, and it seemed like maybe there was some under the table dealings going on between you two. that-
Usually, yeah. What do you think we said on this side?
That's true.
Yeah.
The fact that that was based on Age of Empires 3, which came out in 2007 and was a worker placement game that gave you workers that could do different things than
things.
other workers, was
completely
ingenious for its
asymmetric
time.
workers. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because there's like builders, and they have multiple purposes depending on where you place them. You've got like the priest people that have multiple purposes depending on where you put them. There's a lot of different types of workers.
And the military troops and how you're kind of fighting over the territory at the bottom of the board.
Sounds great, but I'm not convinced this game exists. So
All right, maybe
probably
we'll
were
have to
thinking it
invite
was
Dan one
Age
day.
of Empires 3.
Oh gosh, that means I'd have to play it
It's
again.
been a
Yeah.
while since I've played.
You don't
I'd
like
love
this
to
game.
get this one
I
out
know.
again.
well, Dan, the other 37 people we invited couldn't show up, so I guess.
You can come. So, Tim?
Oh, my turn.
Yeah, we
Cool. My number 5 was my number 9 last year.
wow.
I just love this game, and I want to play it some more. GKR Heavy Hitters. You want to talk about just amazing components in a game, right? Pre-painted
Talk about
minis.
I'm just kidding.
This game's so much fun. It's bonkers. You're gonna pick a mech. You're gonna go through your deck. You're gonna pick your loadout, right? So you're gonna pick like 3 different types of weapons, and then it's not like a Marvel Champions where you're building your deck and it can kind of be cumbersome and take a lot of
a bit of
time.
a slog.
It's a pretty quick
Process.
Just pick from these options. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool.
Like 1 of 3, 1 of 3, 1 of 3.
Yeah, you know,
Not
like,
like
let's-
there's 80 million cards. Look through and pick some.
Right. Yeah. But you need like 4 greens and 3 reds. Like it's not that bad. And then you get out on the board and you've got your mechs and your drones and you're deploying them and you're zipping around. You're trying to tag buildings and you're trying to blow up your opponents. But you can score points in different ways. And this game is just super fun. I prefer either 1v1 or 2v2. I think those are the best modes. I think the free-for-all mode definitely you can find lacking, especially when one player starts to be the clear loser and then decides to play Kingmaker.
Hear me out. 2v2v2.
Well, that's a different game that's not out yet. I guess I do have enough mechs to...
We could do it.
We could do it. Oh
make
my
it
God,
happen.
that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be so much fun?
Okay, we got to stop showing.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm going to go run home again.
Are you not worried about, this is just an interesting thought to me. So the problem in skirmish games is when you play a 3-player game, there tends to be a Kingmaker problem.
Sure.
Are you not
worried about
confident that you'll get the same problem with 3 teams?
No.
Okay, just
I
wondering.
think the having the extra person on your team can help prevent the king-making situation.
Yeah, I think I agree with that statement. And then
Could be
the
worth a
other,
shot.
yeah, right, totally worth a shot. And then the other awesome thing that this game does is you can get sponsorships.
Yes.
And so then you get these little care packages.
Taco
dropped down.
Taco.
The best part of the game is the theme, and I'm not trying
Yeah.
to crap
Not
on the
at all,
game. It's
not
a
at
fun
all.
game, but the like Hunger Games over the
Feel
top
to
theme
it, yeah,
thing is
yeah.
just so
But-
like, oh, don't forget to drink Uber Cola. Now I get extra moves on my turn. Like that's just hilarious.
But it's like Hunger Games, but not depressing. Right. You know, like, because it is, because you do well, you get those care packages, kind of like Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But again, they're like over the top, goofy advertisements.
Right.
And
you
could
could bad taco. You can make somebody sick,
make
they lose turns.
Make guys sick, so their rolls are bad this round, you know,
Yeah.
because they're not feeling good while they're trying to shoot.
Oh, should have had that taco last night.
You know, and you've got your little your drone that can help heal you. You've got your spotter
drone for your indirect fires.
Just very cool things. And I love like when you got 2 buildings right next to each other and you can fire directly through
Right.
it if you're right next to that, but they can't shoot at you if they're
Because they
if
got
they're
you that
spaced
cover.
away. Yeah, because you've got the cover. It's just really fun ways to use sort of tactics. And it's just awesome to have these big mechs just like
tagging logos on the
stomping
buildings
around.
and stuff.
You blow up the buildings, you know, like cool stuff. Oh, now my cover's gone, but I scored that building.
Yeah.
But
It's a good time.
yeah, it's super fun, and the components
Weta.
are amazing. Weta Workshop. I don't think they're making games anymore, but
No.
I'm really glad I got everything for JKR heavy hitters.
They're not making Lord of the Rings anymore either.
I was gonna say, yeah, what a workshop makes movies and stuff. Right?
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
play their
They
District
do-
9
I didn't
board
know that
game.
was the same
Yeah.
Weta. Like
Yep.
I've heard you say that before.
So I visited Weta, and there's literally a Halo Warthog, full-size Halo Warthog. In
yeah.
The,
Well, that's for the new game they're coming up with. It's gonna be like GKR, but like life size.
There you go, sweet. Yeah. I want to hop in the back of a Jeep and just...
Man,
So life-size killer robots.
that'd be awesome.
Gotcha.
Right, instead of giants.
Life-size
buddy.
killer robots.
Okay, Dan.
Oh, it's me.
Shoot.
I don't want to talk.
You're number
All right,
5.
so Mike.
My number 5 was 3, and you'll see why soon. But Twilight Imperium.
Oh, yeah.
4th edition.
Wait a minute.
No.
You said you'd rather play Dune than this.
I know. I like this game more. I think it's
Okay.
I think it's probably better designed. Again, Dune is purposely broken.
Yeah,
Twilight
yeah,
Imperium is very well balanced.
Yeah, it is.
So
You're right.
so I think that it's just a better designed game. But again, if I had to pick a game that I just think is a more fun once a year game, I think I'm picking Dune. I love that universe. Yeah, so Twilight Imperium, everyone knows what it is. 4th edition is fantastic.
Yep.
It's really good. It is a sci-fi epic. Again, like what I talked about in Dune, I like the fact that it is Bob, I need to invade your planet to get a point. Please leave so that we don't have to fight. And the next turn, I will leave and you can have your planet back. And it's all negotiation.
I love it.
The worst thing you can do in Twilight Imperium is fight. Because you know that all
Those
that
units
money
be
that you spent,
expensive.
all those turns you spent building those ships, you're going to lose them. And it sucks.
It's a tight economy.
It's also fascinating to me that Twilight Imperium has a crappy dice system for fighting, and it works flawlessly. You know, I hate the
D0s?
dice combat. Sorry, I hate the dice combat in Rebellion.
Yeah.
They were talking about it. I hate it. I think it ruins the game. In this game, you're just rolling dice, and I hit on 8s or whatever, and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't ruin the game at all. And I don't know if again it's because you don't want to fight. Fighting is supposed to feel awful in that game. So when you go to fight, you're like, there's literally just a 30% chance I lose all my stuff. So Bob, can we please come to an arrangement? You know, and I just love it. Yes, it is very long. I'd say if you know what you're doing, it's probably like a 3-hour game if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not like people always say it's an 8-hour game. That's
Doesn't have to be.
That is hyperbolic. It's like a 3 to 4 hour game.
Last, sure.
Right, sure. If you have max player count, if you're teaching new people,
Stop for pizza.
if you stop for pizza, like yes, it can be, but that's kind of just a joke. It is like a 3 to 4 hour game on average, I'd say, which is absolutely acceptable in my mind. But it's a great experience, beautiful art and everything.
Components are great.
Yeah, I really love this game. It is not for everyone, but it is for me.
Yeah, I love this game. It's a great game. Good pick.
More games should have pizza breaks as a mechanic.
Yeah.
Dude, I tell the story all the time, but dang it, we've brought it up now. It's the first time in board games. I was playing Twilight Imperium 3, one of the first big experiences I had, and we took a break because it was a long game. We were all learning it, and I was standing on the front porch of my friend's house with someone else, and we had a political conversation about how we couldn't let Levi take control of Magnus Rex because he was going to have too many votes in the upcoming election, and his law was going to be passed, and that was going to be really bad for us. And I had a political conversation while we were standing on the porch, and I literally stopped and I went, I think this game changed my life. Like I've never had that in a game, and Twilight Imperium did it to me, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. It's really good. I enjoy the epicness, of it, the feel of it. I love when you're moving in, kind of like what Dan said. There's so many times where I move into a territory, I'm like, look, this does not have to be a thing. Like, I just need to get over here for a minute. Like, we don't need to spend the rest of the game fighting over this.
Yeah.
Like, we can just, this is it, and we can part ways, right? It's really fun.
It also, I guess I should say, right, it has the fantastic Puerto Rico action selection system where I'm picking three. I pick the 3, and that lets me do an action, and then everyone else gets to do the weaker action of that, right? And it has that kind of system with the action selection in it, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, and that's what determines the initiative, too.
Yes, it's also, I think it's just whoever takes 1. It's not like 1 through 7. I think it's just whoever takes 1.
Really? I thought it was 1, 2, 3,
I don't
4.
think it is.
I thought it was the way Bob went.
Maybe.
Because you resolve your action on the number.
I only play, well, yes, but for next turn it sets up initiatives, is what I'm saying. Like, it sets up who becomes speaker and everything or whatever. But anyway, as we've talked about, it's a game I play once a year at most. So, you might be right.
No, great game. I mean, yeah, whether you're right or wrong about that doesn't change your enjoyment or anything fundamentally about what you said.
Nah, I'm wrong now. The game sucks.
Oh God, that took a turn.
You know what? Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. 4th edition sucks. I was wrong.
Garbage. Well, I'm going to say 2nd edition.
Oh, nice. Hot take.
All right, Mike.
There's only one edition of my game. My number 5 is Scythe. This is my most played game in my top 10. I've got 24 plays of this, which includes all of Rise of Fenris, which I really enjoyed.
All of it,
It sounded like Bob finishing Rise of Fenris.
I've never finished any campaign, but I finished the Scythe campaign.
Oh, so you just lied.
And I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I like the tech upgrades. They're not overly complicated, and they're not like swimming in like so many options. They're like, okay, let me spend 10 minutes figuring out what tech I want. But I think the decisions you make are impactful. The upgrades feel good. And I actually really like the different ways that you can win this game. You can be the guy that spreads out at the end, which you kind of have to, but there is very much a way to win this game where you ignore combat and just milk your player board for money. And when you win that way, it's actually really satisfying. Turtling and just getting an economic victory, if you want to call it that. You've already got 50 coins going into final scoring. Those kind of wins can feel really good. But it also can feel really good being the bully and winning combat and winning combats that you don't have to win. Because I kind of like how combat is there, but it's not like the primary focus of that game. And again, maybe that's other people looking at a Stonemaier game and you mislabeled this game because you put huge mechs on the box art. But it's like, no, it makes thematic sense. If you're going to send a mech into a field of people working, shouldn't you lose? Aren't you just a bully? Like, you should use popularity for that.
Yeah,
you're literally
I like that.
fighting defenseless people. What are you doing? So anyway, I like what this game does, and I gotta say, I still cannot believe that no other game has taken the mechanic of when you gain resources, they stay on that
the map.
hex. Your troops they pull the goods with them. They are
Transport,
carrying the goods. And if somebody goes into that hex and beats you in that combat, those are their goods. You're gone. So I'm really amazed that no other game has done that. And I still think it's a very thematic and genius mechanic.
I do not remember what it's called, but the game that Tim and I both got from here does that. I can't remember what it's freaking called, Tim. It has a white box, but you get all your resources, stay on the board, and you have to build a route that you move all the goods along your route to get to where you actually use them to build. I don't remember what it is. It's an okay game. It's not Scythe, but that's the only other game I played that does that.
I'm trying to remember.
I'll try to look it up and have it somewhere.
Yeah, this one fell a couple places for me, but I mean, still, I love it a lot.
So I noticed though that you've mentioned Scythe, but you haven't mentioned Scythe 2. Is that going to be on your list?
Well, like I said, there is only one edition. The other game, billed as its
Sequel?
is nothing like Scythe besides theme and art. It's got mechs, and they're bigger.
They are bigger.
But
So it follows that
and it's
rule.
also
Hexes.
it's also the much superior game. I thought Expeditions was okay. Don't go into Expeditions expecting it to be a Scythe killer unless you just don't like Scythe.
Yeah, then it's really easy.
Maybe then it's pretty easy to kill. It's a card-based engine builder.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Pure card-based.
I don't know. It was okay for me, but yeah, Scythe is just vastly superior for me.
All right.
All right, that's going to bring us to
Number 4.
My number 4 was number 16 last year.
Oh
I've
my
played this a couple of times, and it keeps moving up. It is the only game I've rated a 10. Smartphone Inc.
Oh, I thought you said code names.
Well, no. But yeah, Smartphone Inc.'s fantastic. For everything we mentioned earlier, it's great. You should play it. The whole board is dual layered.
Yes.
So what else do I need to say?
And they have a 2 to 3 player side that tightens everything up.
Yeah, instead of being the whole world, I think it's just like North and South America or something like that. But yeah, it shrinks everything down so that it's more competitive, not as spread out, and keeps the board tight like a tiger.
Scales great. Scales very well.
And its sequel sucks. Sorry.
It's not as good.
I prefer it.
Dan likes it, but it does get messy with all the cards everywhere.
Oh, all the cards that look exactly the same because they just keep reusing the card art? Yeah.
So Smartphone Inc.
Yeah,
is
great game.
Great game.
I love Smartphone Inc. It is a great game.
Talking about Godfather's Corleone Empire?
No, well.
No,
Oh wait, but Tim
that's
likes
actually a
that
good
game,
game.
and it has
Yeah.
the same complaint. That's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, but one's fun and one's not.
Well, then don't use that as a complaint. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, my number 4 has already been talked about. It was my number 3 last year. Empires, Age of Discovery.
Never
By
heard of it.
Sir Glenn Drover.
Nice, yeah. I thought you were gonna move it up a notch last time, so we could have high-fived, but it's fine.
Nope. The list is the list. Empire's Age of Discovery. No, everything that these guys said. The way that you start off with sort of the generic workers, and the way that you can recruit specific workers that then allow you to go, and you go to colonize the United States, or the Americas, and what you don't know what you're going to reveal, like on those tiles, but then you're gathering all those resources. You do my favorite thing, which is you build those buildings, like Lords of Waterdeep, which then give you extra abilities and points and different things like that. The components for this game are top notch. It's Eagle Griffin Games. It's kind of hard to get, but I don't care because
6 people, I think.
yeah,
Pretty good player count.
Awesome metal coins.
Yep.
And just really fun. I've enjoyed this at just about every player count. I love the way that you see the board, right? You place all your workers, boom, 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 and then you just start at the top and you just resolve all the actions.
those actions. Like first you colonize, then you're doing like the trading,
It's
and then you're doing
so
the ship thing.
it's just so straightforward and just really fun and elegant. I just enjoy this game quite a bit.
Yep.
For everything everybody else said, but
It's
yeah.
good.
I just realized I have not been paying attention to which ones of your games I want to play the most.
Yeah,
I
think we normally do.
Well, you've got
when we
when
get
we
to
do
the
this. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to that either.
I have, because there's not as many in this 10 that I haven't played.
Oh, right.
Sure.
But yeah, so my number 4 was Empire's Age of Discovery.
My number 4 was 2 last year, which tells you something really interesting about my
Ruh-roh.
list if you've been paying attention. That is Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium is the best worker placement game ever. You'll also notice that's the second Dune game in my list. I think the Dune universe is fantastic, and their games tend to be good, so that's
Kind of
nice.
dry for my taste.
Yeah,
what
I
we're
make that
talking
joke
about.
all the time.
spicy.
I tend to make it on accident. I tell people like they they're like, should I read the book? And I always say, yeah, it's a little dry, and I'm always like, dang it, I don't mean that as a pun. It just is. but Dune Imperium, it's one of the tightest, most intense worker placement deck building things I've ever seen. It's just fantastic at what it does. There's been an onslaught of games doing this deck building worker placement thing recently, which we brought up on the show before it ever happened. And this one is the best. Just without even anything coming close, this game does it perfectly to me personally. Not only does it nail the theme with all the different locations. Oh, if you're going down on Dune, then you need water and you can get soldiers and everything like that. If you visit the Imperium, you get all the different houses to help you out. If you go to the house, you can get a seat on the Senate, and that gives you basically chome charity every round that you get to spend. They do a fantastic job with this game. The Rise of Ix expansion is fantastic. I have not played Immortality yet because Mike doesn't play games with us. But
Oh,
I haven't been
Squad
invited
up,
to
Mike.
anyone's house in a while.
that's anyway, awkward. So yeah, most people about Dune Imperium. It's in the hotness right now. It's been moving up in the BGG. Like people know about it. It's a great game. I suggest checking it
I feel it
out.
can run a little long.
this game is not
I
as
don't
popular.
feel that, but I could see it. I guess
It's not as popular as it is for like no reason. I mean, clearly it does a lot of things right. The art is great too. Like,
Yeah.
I think also
We'll see what this new version does.
Sure.
Uprising.
Uprising. I've heard all improvements. I haven't used either expansion, unfortunately. I got Rise of Ix and Immortality already sorted in the base box. Just need to use them.
Oh, just taunting.
I
Dan
played
with
your
that.
first expansion.
Yeah, I haven't played Dune Imperium this year.
Me neither.
I have.
Me too.
All right, Mike.
Okay. Well, 3 out of my next 4 are going to be crossover. I can pretty much guarantee it. My number 4 was number 1 last year.
No. Plummeting.
I know it fell a little bit, and that's Blood on the Clock Tower.
Yeah, but it's because
He hasn't played
you
it.
don't play it.
That's right.
I haven't played it in a few months. Now, Dan has gotten a group together that's been playing every couple months. We did an epic 22-player game that was absolutely
that.
bonkers.
It was awesome.
It was insane. And there were some other very outspoken people there, and he and I were going head to head the whole time. And turns out it was somebody else pulling the wool out from under him, and we were on the same team the whole time. That's what makes Blood on the Clock Tower great, is things like that. It only slipped because you'll see why when we get to my top 3. But there's an older game that I got a new version of. Ooh. And then there's another game that I've been able to play online a lot more.
So we can buy your top 3.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I bought my top 3.
Here's a list of my prices.
I actually don't own Blood on the Clock Tower. I only have a Trouble Brewing print and play that I made. But Dan will talk about more. It is fantastic. It's my favorite social deduction game by a lot, and it has a lot to offer. It's got a ton of replayability. It supports a lot of depth, and it supports a lot of people, and that can make it bonkers and
Record
fun.
deepness.
Super fun.
Is what you're
Very
looking
good
for.
Hey, never mind.
No, I get that it can sound rough, but we literally, so like Mike said, we had so many players at the night, we had to play with travelers, which means we went over max player count, and you have to start introducing travelers, which is a mechanic. It doesn't feel long. It doesn't feel like it doesn't drag it out or anything. We played I will say, obviously, like if you're playing that, we played like Bad Moon Rising, right? Bad Moon Rising has more death in it than normal Blood on the Clock Tower. So like you have more people dying, making the game go faster, but also the puzzle now becomes, why are more people dying, right? Instead of, who's the demon, the puzzle becomes, we need to figure out why people are dying, because then that tells us which abilities are in play, and then that tells us who the demon could be, right? So anyway, fantastic.
Well, more people are dying because you're playing Bad Moon Rising.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Nailed it.
Right.
Okay. That's going to bring us down to
Number 3.
So just a quick little spoiler alert. Next year, there's going to be some changes in my top 5.
Changes.
Because I had, originally when I did this, I had games that aren't out yet, and they made my top 5 because I played them and I loved them, but they're not out yet, so I took them off the list.
Okay.
They're fantastic, though, so stay tuned. 2024.
Stay tuned a year.
Please stand by.
Blood on the Clock Tower is out.
Oh my gosh, hold on.
Stay
And for
tuned.
number 87 is...
Stay,
87's not bad. That's not bad.
That's actually pretty good for
right.
mine.
Stay tuned for our upcoming 2024 games release
That's
list.
right. But for now, my number 3 was number 4 last year. Axis and Allies, 1942. Play this game online all the time. I played it IRL quite a bit as well. However, it's just easier to play it online because it's just click, 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 and I can
The
take my
setup,
turns.
so much faster.
So much setup, and then we can rip through like 3 turns, and if it's looking like it's really swinging one way, we can just reset and play again. But it's fantastic. World War II, I played a ton of versions of Axis and Allies. This is one of my favorite ones because while it doesn't have the text in it, it still has a lot of the other like different boats. It has the rule that it's fixed from the original version where you used to be able to just take hits on your transports, and that sucked because why am I shooting your transport when the battleship is killing me? And now you have to take the hits on your other ships first before you take them on the transport, so I'm glad that rule got fixed. But it's great. It's fantastic. It's one of the better versions. They did release a new version. I'm excited. Renegade Games came out with a new World War I version called 1914. I'm hoping to get a copy of that.
I wonder why
and
it's called
check it
that.
out. Yeah, it's
Oh, weird.
but I'm excited to try that one to see what it plays like. But for right now, it's my favorite version of Axis and Allies. I play it all the time. If you see me on Steam, odds are I'm in that game.
Yeah, like just the other day, we were all playing games together as like friends should.
Right.
And Bob's said he was playing a different game.
Yeah.
That's really weird. It's
Odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're not as friends.
Yeah, sure feels that way.
So, Tim, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the greatest Eric Lang game ever made. Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Hell no. Everything that the guy said earlier with Ankh, they're correct. It's amazing. It's great. The action selection in this game just sets it apart from just about every other territory control game. I love the choices, sometimes easy and sometimes difficult, that you need to make, because sometimes, yes, you may need to make a move that may not directly benefit you as much because you need to hinder somebody or set them up because that is actually your optimal move. You know what I mean? And the way that you are seeding the board by depending on what actions you take, the way that you are customizing your own god with when you're buying the Ankh powers, you're doing that, you're upgrading your own god, you're getting different abilities maybe than everybody else. Sometimes you're getting the same abilities as other people. Doesn't matter. You are customizing to fit your strategy. Not to mention the asymmetry with all the different gods. Hello.
Which all feel great, including the expansion ones.
Yeah.
In fact, some of my favorite ones are the expansions.
I don't even know which ones are expansion ones or not, because I just throw them all
because the
together.
expansion gods in Rising Sun are the hardest ones to use, whereas in Ankh they are very viable.
Bob, what were you going to say?
I just want to say it's extremely frustrating when I start this game and I'm right here in this little hex and I have this thing, and then they're like 2-3 spaces away, there's another little temple, and I want that temple, but there was literally nothing I could do to gain control of that temple because the action to take that was never available to me the whole game. That's ridiculous to me.
Fair. Get good. I think there's a ways
never
around
seen
it.
it.
There's literally never a chance. There was literally never a chance for me to take that.
Yeah,
There are
I've just
some-
never seen it. That just seems like crazy bad luck. I don't know.
There are some ways around it. There are some ways around it because you do have the build action you can take.
But if somebody beats me like, up there to it, when I started right next to it, there was nothing I could. There was literally nothing.
The
I could do.
build is one of the battle cards.
Yeah.
So, but you can play it, but if you want to play it a lot, you'd have to reset your hand a lot.
Sure.
And there's
You have to
things
go
you
through
can
your
do.
command card over and over again.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's definitely things you can do, but this is one of my favorite territory control games. I think the action selection is awesome. I really, yes, you do want to try to sometimes be the one to trigger the event so you can get the different
Sure.
things to happen.
Right.
But also, you don't always need that. because if you're planning out your strategy well, you can pop into different, you can win
Right,
different
I
battles.
do
that are
this
gonna give
combat. Now I can move this guy over to here.
You're going to get different
Sure.
benefits. Then the other awesome thing is, and every time I play this game, anytime it seems like there's a runaway leader, 2 people merge from the bottom, and that game immediately becomes that much closer.
I love it.
I've never
It's a very
seen
cool mechanic.
I've never seen the merge person not finish in the top 2.
At least get close. Make it competitive.
Like they get it. I mean, they just start to soar. And if you, some of the best experiences I have had in this game have been merging. But it's really cool when you win without merging. But the merge mechanic is crazy good. I know some people don't like it. It's weird. I embrace it. I embrace it because it's unique to
I don't
that
want to
game.
share my victory.
I think it's divisive because people don't want to take their god off the map and give up all their Ankh powers.
I feel almost like it's more that people feel like it's too strong of a comeback mechanic. Like, I'm winning, and now these people get rewarded for sucking, and they might win because of it. Like, I feel like that's a mentality people have, and I just don't. I think it's a great catch-up mechanic.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's a great catch-up mechanic as well. I think that it sucks if you are the in last place and you're like, well, I'm going to lose this game this
Yeah,
round.
I'm out of it.
And I'm out of it. Like, no. You're back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then in that end game always gets so tight. It is such a rush. I've never gotten to it's just like, I don't know. I feel like somebody always scores before the end,
Yes.
gets to the top.
Every game I've played.
Before you get to the end of that track. And it's been close. Did we play a 2-player game? Maybe it was a 3-player game. We played a really hard map. We were constantly losing.
Oh, I remember you guys
The
talking about
flowers.
Three
Losing
players.
devotion.
It was you two and I think Caleb.
As
Yeah,
you
maybe.
score points, you're automatically
Jesse.
going to lose a point, and we all lost before we
But it was
couldn't.
still-
Nobody scored enough points.
But it was still like a crazy experience. Like, because, you're still like trying to do all these things and you're like, I'm getting my butt kicked by the game and
By
not
the
even
game.
the other
We're
players.
all getting our butt kicked by
Welcome
the
to
game.
Egypt.
And
Yeah, no
afterwards,
doubt.
I kept thinking to myself, well, there's a couple things I could have done differently, and I would have been able to keep playing.
Yeah.
Or win.
My biggest disappointment with the game, I love the game, as you just heard, is a absolute nitpick, and I understand the design choice, and I'm sure it was done on purpose, but like every time I sit down to play the game, I'm like, oh yeah, this is so good. And then I look, and the fact that all of our god abilities are all the exact same, I'm just like I wish they were asymmetric. Every time I go to play the game, I'm like,
Oh, you mean just your player board
yeah,
in
the
general?
little player board.
Yeah.
I wish they were asymmetric.
yeah.
Like every single time I sit to play down, I go, oh, are we playing the asymmetric version? And everyone goes, no, that's, and I'm like,
But
oh
you
yeah.
can unlock different ones so they
No,
become
100%.
asymmetrical.
Like I said, and it never
but-
feels like, oh, we're playing the same game. It's just
Right.
every time I sit down, I forget that they're not asymmetric, and it kind of disappoints me
I guess
slightly.
I don't
But
think of that because depending on the god you play, the power
Right.
kind
What
of
you go
drives
for.
which
That's
powers you
asymmetric, right.
buy. But
Yeah.
I get
There's
what
always
you're
some that
saying.
some people go
You
for
want
if they're,
to
like,
sit down and,
dumb.
this one has 2 Ankh powers other people don't have. That
Right.
would be kind
Right.
of cool.
Right, would be.
But I didn't mention there's one that merge mechanic in Ankh gives you the opportunity to do something I haven't seen in any other game, is that if you see that you're losing or are going to be second to last, you can prepare for the merge
You can.
and actually take it easy on the person that you might be merging with before you merge.
Yeah.
Why would you wipe out troops of the person you're about to be a teammate with?
Yeah.
Why would you force them to spend followers if you're about to be on a team with them? You can strategize for the merge, and I think that is genius.
the one time I was playing, it was Caleb and I were in last place, and Caleb was about to attack me, and I said, Caleb, we are about to merge.
Right.
This is a very dumb plan. If anything,
Yeah.
you should be buffing me right now. And he was like, I don't think I want. And I'm like, listen, you do you, but I genuinely think you helping me right now is the best thing you can do. Get me a couple more points, and we go into this with a stronger thing. And he wound up helping me, and I got like 1 or 2 more points than we both thought I was gonna get, and he wound up merging with someone else. and he literally buffed me out of the merge thing, and he was like so mad that I and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I did not like intentionally trick you into I
Yeah.
thought we were about to
bamboozled
merge.
me.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right though. That's
And the
very
fact that that kind of interaction is something that can happen because of that mechanic, it's
really
I've
cool,
never
man.
seen that in other games.
It's really cool. And then again, the camel action. You redraw
Yeah.
the lines, flip the order, all kinds
That's
of cool stuff in
huge.
this game. I'm sorry you had that bad
I
experience,
would never.
Bobby.
I would never know what that was like.
but man,
rough.
You know what was crazy? So you had a 3-player game. Me, Bob, and Dan had a 3-player game. And didn't you and I merge and Bob still won?
No, I won that game that we played, but I don't know who merged.
Was it me and Bob that merged then?
I've only played like 2 or 3 times.
I think it was one of the times I remember that there was a merge and the merge team did not win, especially
I've
in a
seen it.
3-player game where 2 versus 1
versus
is
one.
very powerful. I think it was because we got to the end of the game, we realized Bob wasn't using one of his powers
That's
or
true.
something like that.
Yeah, you were forgetting to use your
that. You were
asymmetric
forgetting to
power.
use
You
one
were
of your powers.
Anubis, I think. I don't remember what Anubis' power
Sure,
is.
remember
but-
that.
Tracks, because I like Anubis.
Right.
That's the thing.
Anubis.
Yes.
It's an amazing game.
Anyways, Ank's my number 3.
Yes.
Really good.
Thank you
pick,
for turning
Tim.
into the Ankh hour.
Good pick, Tim.
Yeah, we only heard about it 3 times.
Yeah,
today.
we definitely won't have blood on the clock
Well,
tower
and maybe
hour.
4.
Maybe 4.
We definitely won't
find
have.
out.
We're gonna have 3 more hours.
So
here.
what I was talking about with my number 4, guys, was you'll notice that we're now in the top 3, and I said I have 2 new to me games in this list, and I haven't gotten any yet.
Wow.
So my number 3 is the first, and this is the one that you forgot about because none of you were in the review for this, and I still don't think any of you have played it, and that is Circadian's Chaos Order. This is an A+ game. This is my Scythe. You'll notice Scythe isn't on my list anymore. This just does a similar thing to me, much better. Scythe is fantastic. Sorry, it is. But Circadian's Order is fantastic.
Fantasticer.
Yeah, Fantasticer. Fantasticist, maybe.
Yeah.
Out of the
Almost.
2 comparisons. So this game, big map, area control game. At the start of the game, there are 6 giant things that drop down from space, basically, and randomly go on the map. And one of the game enders, so every round, one of those is going to leave the board. And if you take it, you get bonus points or whatever, but that's how like a round tracker kind of works in the game, is it's going to take off and leave like a terraforming device kind of thing. But the main part of the game is you have this action selection thing going down the left side of the board. And you're selecting out of your little cards you have which one you're putting over there. They're like chits, not cards, and you're claiming actions. And depending on what action you take impacts the order of which they happen and everything as well. And you are putting out units on a board and fighting of completely asymmetric factions, like as asymmetric as they can get with asymmetric win conditions. I love the board. So the board has like victory point track, right? Like every game freaking does, but it has like 5 victory point track because everyone has their own victory point track because everyone has their own win condition and way they're getting points. So you'll have like this class is 20 victory point track, and then this class is 7 victory point track, and then this class is 18 victory point track. It's just really interesting looking. I've never seen a game like that before. If you want a lot of information on this game, we reviewed it. I think it got a 10 and 2 9.5s, if I remember correctly. It's a fantastic game, but it is literally one of the most complicated games to try to explain that I'm just never going to do it justice in this video. So if you're interested, check it out. But Circadian's Chaos Order is an insanely asymmetric area control game where you're playing over 6-ish rounds because some things impact that. And you're just trying to control the world, and it's beautiful. It's
Shem
stunning.
Phillips is a mad genius.
Yep.
It's stunning.
Cool.
He's the only one that's
I
playing.
know.
it.
He's the only one here that's
I would
played it,
love
yeah.
for them to play it, but Andrew's the one that owns it, first of all. And second of all, it's a big boy game, so it's going to take a while to teach and everything. So
All right, my number 3 moved up the most in my top 10, and Dan's gonna hate that it went above Blood on the Clock Tower. It is Castles of Burgundy.
well, it's a crap game, but no, I'm just kidding.
It is. I know
does
you don't
look better
like it.
now.
It's okay. Yeah, the special edition won me over. I love the look. I love the acrylic tiles, and I haven't even really used the modules yet. But this was like one of my first kind of favorite games anyway. And it slipped down because I haven't played it in a while. And then I got a new edition, and now it's gorgeous. And now there's modules, and now I've been playing it online with other people that love it as much as I do. I've played this game at least 200 times online. Castles of Burgundy is a fantastic game, and the variability keeps it fresh from game to game. I don't know what buildings are going to come out, and the strategies and combos that I create are very much predicated on what buildings come out each game, and that's why it's fresh for me. It's the variability that the tile market creates, and I just think it's tight. It feels good. It's fun. Strategic, doesn't play too long.
I really feel like, though, the biggest swing and a miss with the special edition are those bags. They should have put icons on the bags that match the tiles inside, so it'd be easier to pick which one is
Yeah,
which.
so I did not get the version that has all the miniatures because, again, I think it's overkill to take a miniature from here and put it there and it stays there the whole game. That's just me. And I was like, acrylic tiles, that's 1,000 times better than these super thin old Ravensburger chits.
Yeah.
That's I'm fine. But yeah, the matte, while beautiful, dumbs down some of the colors to the point where in certain lightings, the yellow looks like the beige. And so the first couple rounds Bob and I played, I didn't have the right dispersion
Number
of tiles.
buildings, yeah.
And so really sort of goofed up how our first game played.
Oh, it's
and
like Clank.
And I've played the game, again, so many times, I should just automatically know how to set it up. But at the same time, they completely refreshed the art and icons. So I'm relearning icons that I literally just have memorized. And not just, I know some games, oh, you memorize the iconography, congrats. But there's also like 50 different buildings, of which only sometimes 10 come out per game. And so there's certain situational tiles that don't always come out that can be hard to remember those. But even like the basic icons, I'm relearning. But yeah, if not enough stuff comes out, it's a much tighter game.
Right. Well, yeah, and they put the same icon on every bag, and it's just
bags.
a weird art choice.
Oh, the bag already has an icon on it? That
Correct.
sucks. I was going to
Yeah.
say, it's pretty easy to heat print your own icon onto a bag
Yeah, no,
with
the
like
bag,
a cricket
I
or
don't
something.
know what the
but-
icon is. It's not like for a certain building, but yeah, you would think though they would have like this is like the boat icon,
Right.
this is like the yellow house.
Yeah,
icon. Like it's
Because they just gave you, in the original, just for example, they give you chits, and you just put them in your plastic bags, and you make a face down pile, or
Pull
you
one
can put
out.
them in bags or whatever. But yeah, they included
Nice bags.
to draw tiles out of. But I can see where, if you're colorblind, if the icon on the bag matches the icon on the board, the color
Make it
does
way
not
easier.
matter.
Right.
I'm not colorblind, and I goofed up the yellow and the beige. They look very similar depending on your light.
Yep.
Bit of a misstep, but still one of the
Not a bad
biggest
game.
reason I am a Stefan Feld fan to this day. 4 of his games made my top 50. So
nice.
Right on.
Okay. So that takes us down to number 2. My number 2 was number 2 last year. It's number 2 this year.
Who does it work for?
Me. I don't know. War Room. So it's kind of like Axis and Allies, but it's on crack. It's like you take Risk and you give it a little bit of crack and it gets Axis and Allies. Then you give it some meth and some crack and you got War Room, and it's just this huge, crazy war game. You've got stacks of troops with like identifiers on top. You're doing a planned hidden movement, which I love. You're bidding for oil for turn order, and then once you reveal whoever's going first, you give your orders to somebody else. And like, okay, this stack moves to this place. This stack moves to this place. You can pin people down so that their troops can't leave those areas to try to take other territories. It's amazing the way that the combat and the way that the planning your movement and everything is done. The bidding is so much fun. It's just big, huge, epic game. Like there's quick combat rules that came out with their second edition, which can really help to speed the game up. But if you've got the time, I do recommend sticking with the original version for the combat, because it allows you to really customize how you do your battles. Like you can have these infantry units, and you can be like, okay, well, are you going to be defensive or are you going to be offensive? Do I want to hit at a higher number, or do I want to take more hits to kill? And I think that's a really neat way to do a lot of your units, is you can tell them, oh, are the anti-aircraft going to be shooting up at the air? Are they going to be trying to take shots at tanks? So you kind of pick, what are you trying to do? And then they have the same thing for the sea battles, right? Are you more worried about incoming aircraft, or are you trying to take out more boats? And it's just a really neat, customizable way to do these really intricate combats. And the way that you don't just keep going until all the units are gone. You're just basically doing like a round of combat because everything's supposed to be kind of happening in real time. So once everybody's kind of done playing their movement, everybody's taking their swing, then you're going to the next round, and everything's kind of just staying fluid. You're not just like, okay, well, we're going to sit here and roll 40 times until one side's eliminated. You know, that's not how it works. And I think that kind of adds to more of the feels like how time is progressing as you're playing through here instead of being like individual like just battles. It's just one big epic. So it's fantastic.
Finally got to play it this year.
Yeah.
It is epic. It was a lot of fun. There's I disagree with the part. If I had played more, I think the advanced combat rules would be fun to try.
Yes.
In a learning game, it would be way too much.
Correct. And I agree with that.
Definitely don't teach new players that those advanced combat rules.
Yeah.
And he did not, and I definitely appreciate that. It's definitely a lot of fun. We played a 1v2. So you were Japan,
I was Japan.
And I was US, simultaneously
half America.
controlling China.
Yep.
And he was UK.
Half the UK.
And, well, Bob won. He's the experienced player. But the player I was playing with, and this salted the experience, but not my enjoyment of the game. You had to leave the room, and we would like sit there and plan our actions together, and that just felt really good. But he was the player that had played before, and I had to babysit his turns because he was choosing actions that weren't viable. So out of the 6 actions he chose, Bob would come back in the room, and we find out 2 of those he couldn't do. I'm like, gosh dang, you played this before. What are you doing? So then I'm like, oh, there's already enough for me to consider here. And yes, we'll talk about our actions, but like I had to start helping him plan his actions so we wouldn't lose out on turns.
I don't know how you have like all these units on the board. You only get six commands that you can give. And you only give 4 commands, and you still have units that aren't doing anything. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, move that stuff up there. It's gonna take turns to get it there. You gotta start moving it now, you know.
Yeah. And then the anticlimactic ending that sucked, and it was just me a misinterpretation because there was a lot going on, was like I had all these ship troops out in the ocean, I had all these land troops out in the ocean, which felt anti-thematic to me until my ships got wiped out, and then my land troops also disappeared because my ships are gone. And I'm like, wait.
Oh, because they were carrying them?
Wait.
They're just carriers.
Yeah, and that didn't sink into me, so I'm like,
intended.
oh, okay, my
boats.
my ships are destroyed, that's fine. Look at all those land troops I go. No, Mike, those are also gone. Oh, game's over then.
Yeah.
We called it. Like, that's it.
That was all your build-up, and I took everything out defending it.
I was building up to
try to take Japan.
an ignorant strategy, and then it all just, like, 14 of my troops disappeared in one turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2 stacks.
Sounds like a real good teach.
Seems like your teammate.
You had someone who had played twice before.
Seems like your teammate should have said, maybe we shouldn't put all our eggs in that basket.
Or
but
defend
that's
it better.
the teammate that couldn't plan his own actions.
But did you then get to take your turn back because you didn't know that's what Bob was going to do? I'm
How do you know that's
That's actually really funny when you say that.
I did let them take some of this back, but not all of them.
I am very upset that I still haven't been allowed to frickin' play this game.
Yeah, same.
It's really annoying.
I feel
how has it been this
Yeah,
long?
let me play with Dan because I know I
excluded.
won't have to babysit his turns.
Yeah, I'll take us down deliberately.
Yeah, your team. Yeah,
You wanna
let's
win,
go.
right?
If I put land troops out in the sea, just tell me I'm an idiot.
Well, it does so many cool things though. Like, I mean, if you're playing,
does.
we played the Japan, right? So obviously Pacific, a lot of the boats. That's why we play that scenario because the boats are really cool. But when you're playing like Germany and Russia and that whole front over there, there's a lot of railroads, and you can use the railroads to really move your troops across a lot of country. But then you can send planes out to bomb those railroads and put them out of commission so that they stop moving all their troops up super quickly. And that's just a really neat thematic thing. You got to manage morale. If you lose too many ships and whatnot, then people get mad, they get upset, and if you don't manage your morale by buying goods and whatnot for your country, then you start taking penalties and have to pay up.
It's just, I love war games that take into consideration supply lines and things like that, right? You know, Game of Thrones does that. You know, there's some of them that do it really
Here's
well.
why I want to play War Room.
Yeah.
We didn't
Push sticks.
use those.
Yeah.
You didn't use them?
No. But why play?
I know,
It
what's
has
the
these
point?
big long push sticks to push your stacks of units like you do in a big war room. I mean, your big circular map. It's a circular map too, man.
I want to use this
Dan.
so bad.
Oh,
I know it's
circular
circular. Bob, I'm very upset that I haven't played this yet. I'm just saying.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
Oh boy.
Friends and family.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Number 2. My
war
number
room
2
is
was my number 1 last year, and this game probably will always bounce between 1 and 2 just because I love this game. I love both these games, obviously, quite a bit. Concordia. Concordia is one of my all-time favorite games. There's a little bit of deck building, but the way the action selection and the route building, and all of that stuff that you're doing, moving around the board, kind of territory control, like sneaky territory control in there, just does so many things so well. Such a cool experience, and I love the
trading in the Mediterranean.
The trading in the Mediterranean. No, it's
Never been done.
It's like I can flip this over and I can take all this stuff, or I could wait because it's going to get better if I wait. And then it's like, oh, now I'm going to spend all these goods, and you've got to manage the space, because you can only hold so much of stuff, right? And then you're manipulating values. I don't know, just so cool when you play those cards, and the lineup of cards is always interesting. I don't know. The set collection of the cards as well at the end. There's so many things. This game might get talked about again very soon. So I won't go like too much into depth, but this is one where like famously I would go, oh, the box art looks terrible. Right. Why would I ever want to play this game? And then my sister's like, hey, we're playing Concordia. And I'm like, cool, let's try it out. And I'm like, oh, like this game is amazing. I imagine Circadians will be a similar kind of thing for me, where it's like, oh, I hate the box art. Like, I don't play this game. But everything you've described, like I'm hearing you guys talk about it, it's like, I really want to play that game.
Yeah.
I was really glad to be wrong about this game. It's so good, so enjoyable.
The card reset mechanic that Ankh uses, I love it. Last Light uses it as well. I really enjoy that card reset. You know all the cards that people have played. You know what they can do, what's still in their hand. Got to play a card to reset. I also like how you can build up to that reset, and you generate more resources, and you make that reset action stronger by building a troop. But every action affects other actions, so the troop that you build means you can move farther and carry more stuff.
Was that Newton's fifth law?
It's really, really good.
Yeah, every action you make makes another action.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Every worker you build allows you to move one more and carry more stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
Third law. Did you get that? My number 2 is new to me this year. This will also not be on anyone else's list because Bob is the only other person that's played it, and it's obviously not going to be this high for him, and that's Hegemony. Lead your class to victory.
I would love to play this game.
It was good.
This game blew my mind. Yep. This is my favorite Kickstarter I've ever backed because it was completely blind. This is the biggest blind Kickstarter I've ever backed. And I was so freaking happy with this game. Just completely asymmetric system here, but not just asymmetric, intertwined, which is crazy. It reminds me of kind of like what Vast tried to do, where you have like the dragon needs to eat the goblins need to kill the human needs to slay the dragon, the cave needs to collapse on everyone. Like, you have all these asymmetric win conditions that are all kind of intertwined. This does that, but in this political card game, like it's just so cool. Action selection, playing your cards, everyone is like completely affecting everyone else. The upper class needs to make jobs that the middle class can work for. The state needs to be enacting laws that make everyone happy equally, because they get more points the more even everything is. They don't want anyone to get too far ahead. They want everyone to be just okay with how things are run. You have
status quo, baby.
You have the whole political agenda up there that you're trying to push. The workers want minimum wage, to be higher, while the state wants to be lower, and stuff like, or the
donor class.
Whatever. Don't overthink it. This game is so freaking good. I was just talking the other day about how I got to get a group together to play this game again. I want to play this game so bad. Also, the fact that, the first time we played this game, it took 5 hours. And that was rough. And I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to get this very much. The second time we played with, I think, one new person, everyone else was the same. It was a 2.5 hour game, which is absolutely fine with me. A 2.5 hour game, that's a normal freaking game in my mind.
With that level of depth, though, and everything, hell yeah, that's perfect.
Hegemony by Hegemonic Project Games. You guys freaking nailed it. I know that this was literally people that went to business school and stuff, and they had all this knowledge, and they teamed up with game designers and stuff to get this done. And I think the two teams that put this together, you guys met the right people. You guys did exactly what you wanted to do. You blew it out of the water with this one, and I freaking love this game, man. It's so good.
Well done, man.
Yeah,
I'd love to play it. Sounds awesome.
Player rates are great too.
Looks amazing. Looks absolutely amazing.
Everything I hear about it sounds fantastic.
Sorry, I guess the last thing I'll say is something that I really, really, really like is how I was talking about how everything is intertwined. It makes it so easy to help each other and to like learn the rules, because it'll be like, so what am I? So the middle class will be like, well, what am I doing now? And the upper class will be like, well, here's how I impact you. And so that's going to change how your actions work. And like, it's just interesting to see people being able to talk across the table and like teach each other, just because I don't know how Bob's class works, but I know how I interact with his class. So I know the basics. I know how his workers get placed, because him placing these workers impact my income. So like, and so just by learning yourself, you're kind of accidentally learning half of everyone else's rules, and it makes everyone learning the game at the table just so easy, because any question that Bob has for me that I might not be able to answer, Andrew might be able to, because I interact with Bob's workers, but Andrew interacts with Bob's income.
Right.
And it's so interesting, so well done.
Let's play this after this. So this is where that whole crossover thing becomes interesting, because last year Dan and I had the same number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it slipped to 4 just because other games moved up. And then Tim's number 1 was my number 2, but his number 1 slipped to number 2. And Bob's number 1 was my number 4, but this year it's number 2. It's Anachrony.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Well, Bob hasn't talked about Anachrony yet.
Everyone knows.
So here's the thing. When I put Anachrony at number 4 last year, I had only played the game twice. That was all it took. It just grabs you by the teeth. Grabs you by its teeth, with its teeth. It
All
grabs
three,
you
baby.
with its teeth.
Grabs your teeth by its teeth.
By its teeth. And it doesn't let go, because when you play this game, you will just spend days thinking about
What you did wrong.
I could have done this. And I always have to say this every time I explain Anachrony, is that, okay, so you're playing a game where after round 4, a cataclysm happens, and society discovers a resource that allows you to travel in time. So the first 4 rounds, you can borrow resources from your future self. But then in future rounds, you have to give that good back to yourself, or you create a rift in the space-time continuum.
Which causes paradoxes.
It's amazing. It's just so good. And
Which is why Bill and Ted is the greatest time travel movie ever.
Well-
Remember to hide those keys.
That's right. Remember a trash can.
Yeah, remember the trash
can.
And so this is how Board Game Arena has really impacted my list. I've played this a lot on there.
Yeah.
And I've really... 2 plays is not enough to go, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at Anachrony now. No. There's a lot of depth to this game.
for
There's
me.
a lot of variable factions, and just learning the idiosyncrasies of the different factions and how to strategize with them feels really good when you get it all to work.
The
And
tough part, though, is that I haven't figured out how to build that time machine to then send those resources I brought back.
Right.
That I
That is an
borrowed
important step.
when I first played this game.
Right, yeah. You
like-
should go way back
Yeah,
in time.
like,
and
oh,
get those
man.
resources
I'd like
back.
to borrow the money from my future self and what I spent for this game. But wait a minute, did I say that right? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I think the hardest thing for people, hey, you're trying to learn how to play Anachrony and everything, you're like, this is a complicated game. I think the hardest thing to freaking remember in this game, or to be good at, is how many mechs you need to power. I think that is a
tough.
really underrated mistake that you're going to make, because I am genuinely upset that I lost to Bob when we played this last time, because it was a very close game, and there were multiple rounds where I had powered mechs that I wound up not using, because I keep forgetting that if you send people to your base, they don't need a mech for obvious reasons.
Right.
And there were multiple rounds where I had like 2 mechs just sit there unused. I'm like, man, I am burning through resources here. And I lost him by like 8 points, and I was sitting there like, that's like nothing in this game. It feels like that's one small objective. Like I was so upset at myself. But
Those couple extra
just,
water
just really
power
think about
cores.
when you power your mechs, how many spots out there you're going to go to this turn. Don't just be like, how many workers am I trying to use? It's specifically how many workers am I trying to use out there? And I just think that that's a mistake that newer players make a lot.
Yeah, because you're kind of in your own sort of like building, your own little hub, and you're safe there. But to venture out into the world,
great unknown.
you need an exosuit to protect you from the elements.
But it's fun to power up all those suits because you're like, these suits are really cool, and I'm going to put my little thing in that
So
suit.
just to be clear, Tim, you said you haven't won?
Yeah, but all my suits were powered the whole
And
time.
that
The whole
exosuit
time.
really is a planning phase on
Right.
top of the
It
worker
is.
placement. And yeah, you're also considering, well, I've built buildings inside of my own hub. I don't have to go outdoors, so I can just place my workers right into those. All of it just
Yeah.
works so incredibly
You
well.
got to choose how many exosuits you want to power up, and then you got to choose how many warp tiles do you want to bring in resources from the from the future, and then you start beginning by putting your people out. Are you building stuff? Are you mining? Are you doing trading? Are you recruiting people?
Man,
Are
you
you
gotta
doing
play
science
Circadians,
research?
man.
I know.
Everything you say about this game, I'm just like, oh, that sounds like Circadians. It's
I
so
just,
good.
I also
But can
really
you borrow
like
resources from the future.
You're right.
when games that have a lot of rules can use thematic reasonings for the rules. It makes it easier to learn. And every time I've taught this game, I explain, you're going to learn how to travel in the future. You are borrowing stuff from yourself in the future. But later, you got to give that stuff back.
right.
I mean, it just...
you don't have to.
Usually
No,
you pay
you
it
don't have
forward.
to.
Now you got to pay
should.
it back.
I highly encourage it because if you max out that time travel track, you
Big
can
points.
give yourself a good chance of winning the game. It's really good. Mind Clash, David Turksey, amazing. Friend of the show.
Yeah. That is a fantastic pick, Mike. That's
Is
gonna,
it?
It's going to take us all the way down to
Bob's number one.
Number one.
So my number one. Let me look over here.
Hegemony.
It was it was number one 2 years ago. It was number one last year,
Weird.
and it's still number one this year. Anachrony. It's fantastic.
I just don't know what there is to like about this game.
I know. For everything Mike said, but Mike left out some very important
I tried to leave
aspects.
some
Was it
things
the
out.
time travel part?
You can travel through time. Woo! But no, the expansions. There are so many modules that you can add to this game. There's a module that you can add that adds this track that you could basically worship the comet, and you could try to make it to postpone the collapse or to make it sooner, make it happen, in an earlier round. There's a blink mechanic where you get this new resources and then a new type of person that you can recruit called a pilot, and when he pilots the mech and he goes up to do something and you spend those blink resources, you can take your exosuit and blink it over to another worker spot. So basically it allows you to take 2 actions with the same exosuit, so you don't have to power as many exosuits. But depending on who you have
But if you
operating
power
it-
all your exosuits, it's fun.
and then, but depending on who you have piloting it, you have to roll a specific die. So if it's the pilot, you don't have to roll the die. But if you have like Joe Schmo engineer just going out there and trying to operate, this with the blink, then you have to roll this die because he could screw it up, and then you have bad things happening.
engineers.
Yeah, stupid engineers. They know. It looked right on paper. But no, it's so good. The components are so nice. And if you buy you can get the Infinity Box, and it comes with like the realistic looking resources. The biggest beef, and the only reason that it didn't get a 10 for me, is because I have such a hard time with the titanium and the uranium. They look so much alike. And yes, if you're playing it IRL, you can look at the lines on there, and some of
Right.
them have 3 lines, and some of them are like a hash, and you can tell them apart. But like when I'm playing it online, I have a hard time trying to tell those two apart. And I don't understand why online you can't just like, let's just hue that up a little bit, saturate the color a little bit more, make it easier
It
to
should also just be
distinguish.
online. You should be able to just hover over it.
With a
and it
computer,
will-
yes, but if I'm playing like on my tablet or
Oh,
my phone,
sure.
you can't hover.
Okay.
But yes, you can hover over it with a mouse. But
That's good at least.
Still, though, it's a fantastic game. There's 4 different factions you can choose from. They've got an A side to everything where it's all the same. Everybody can have the same kind of setup. Or you have the B asymmetrical side. Then you also have 2 different leaders that you can choose from, and they've each got different types of like escape conditions and special abilities that they can do. There's just so much awesome to this game that it's going to be number one for a long time for me.
Let's
Just-
gush a little more.
Okay, cool.
how about how some workers go out and they come back tired from
Yes.
working a full
Depending
day,
what they're doing.
so they're not available for the next round, but others will come back energized and available
Ready to use
nerd.
again. Yeah.
Right,
And you
like-
can take a worker and spin water to wake them up, and it doesn't hurt morale.
Right.
Or you can just
Say,
send a
"Get
dictator
up."
in there
Yeah.
and get up. You're going to work and lose morale, but your workers are ready right away, and you didn't spend any water.
That's right.
Love that.
You don't
I
even
do-
water your workers.
I do like that kind of hidden theme in there of like if you send a scientist to an engineer's job, they're going to get wore out from it because they're
Right.
not an expert. But if you send a scientist to do a scientist job, that's
fine.
fine. That's
Yeah. That's what
I'll
I'm
do it
used to.
again.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I'm used to mining.
You could use the energy. Yeah, the engineers are good for mining. They come back awake, or you can send them to go build something, and they can be more efficient with how they build it, which is really good. And they have geniuses that work across the board. They're good at everything. Like jack of all trades kind of thing. But yeah, there's just so much you can do, and like I said, it's awesome that the online implementation is as good as it is because it is hard to get people together for a 2 to 3 hour game
Right.
of an Acronym, with setup and everything
30
going
minutes
on.
to set up,
Yeah,
30 minutes to teach.
So it's easier to get to the table, and I'm really glad that I've been able to do that quite a bit this year. So.
Hey, game designers, start making the A side the asymmetric side and the B side the basic side.
Ooh, hot takes from
that.
Dan. I like
Yeah,
that.
That just makes sense to me.
Yeah, not gonna do it though.
No.
I just learned that B comes after A, though. That's
true.
I'm
Like, give me some
confused. I'm
time.
confused.
Yeah, hold on. All right. Tim, what's your
right.
number one game? Why is it an Acronym?
My number one was my number 2 last year, and again, this will probably always these two will always bounce around in my top 5 probably until something really comes along and
Till
blows them
next
out of the
year,
water.
stay tuned. Big movements.
Yeah, maybe. It's Cthulhu Wars. This is one of my most played games of all time. I had West requested to play it at Origins. I got to teach it again to multiple people, and I mean, West wanted to he bought a bunch of stuff for it after we played it. Like he was into it. And I'm like, yes, I am not the only one that loves this game. It is straight up territory control, dice chucking, asymmetric factions. It's kind of like what Dan says. These are all the rules. Now, here's why your faction's broken, and you
Right.
get to break this rule. Here's why your faction is broken, and you get to break this rule. And it's like, man, that sucks. I hate that you get to do that. Wait till you hear about mine.
Yeah.
This game does a ton of stuff that I personally really enjoy. The miniatures are amazing. The board is ugly, but whatever. I don't care.
It's true.
But like, I've got everything for it. I've got the 3D gates. They look great. My buddy Pete painted them. They're fantastic. You put a wash on those minis, they look great. I have so many expansions for this. I think one of my challenges would have to be like, people do those game challenges, is to just play like 5 of the expansions that I haven't touched yet out of the 20. There's too much stuff out for this game. I don't care. I've got it all. I love it. But yeah, I love playing this game. I thoroughly enjoy teaching this game. This is a game where I think any of us with our favorite game, we love these games so much that we would be happy to just teach it and stand back and let other people kind of play it and
I'd
experience
rather
it.
play, but sure.
I mean,
I don't mind teaching it.
but I definitely this is just definitely a game that I'm very happy teaching and enjoying watching other people enjoy it as well. But yeah, if I can get in there and get my hands dirty and like, let's go. I specifically, when I taught West and them, I specifically played a faction that I'm not very good with. Because I want it to be competitive and I want to get good at the other factions. I've seen all different kinds of play styles win. This is a game where it's very hard to turtle, and I like that in territory control games. I think we're playing a territory control game. Be aggressive.
Yeah, go control some territory.
Yeah. But yeah, the theme is really dark and fun, and I enjoy it. The world has been brought to an end by all these cultists, but the bad thing is now all these great old ones have popped through, and everybody's fighting for dominance. I really enjoy sort of that food chain aspect of the mechanic. Like, the cultists are the weakest guys.
Right, they get eaten.
Yeah, they get eaten a lot. There's lots of really fun power dynamics. Like, hey, like I'm moving over into your territory, but we do not have to fight. You actually have to spend your power to start a fight. Sometimes I move over there, and it's like I need to fight, but I know they want to fight me. I'm gonna make them spend the power to do it. So there's sort of like a secret economy in this game too, because kind of like Blood Rage, you're spending your power, and then when you're out of power, you're kind of done. There's factions that allow you to finagle that a little bit.
What? You can break the rule?
Yeah, what? But yeah, this is just a game that I've played so much over the years, and I just love it every time. I get excited every time I'm getting ready to play it. I love setting it up, like sort of that anticipation, that build up, like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I was a little worried because you didn't get your annual play at JuliaCon that you typically get to play, but I forgot you did get to play at Origins.
I played it at Origins, and I got to teach a bunch of new people.
Yeah.
So
So you got your fix.
I got my
a little
fix
bit,
in, yeah. And I just got to see people really play it and enjoy it like
Right.
thoroughly, and I'm like, yes. So, Cthulhu Wars by Peterson Games. I prefer to play it at 4. You can play it up to, can you play it at 8 now? Yeah, I prefer a 4-player game. Keeps the time down.
Yep.
But if I was going to play an 8-player game, I would really almost want everybody to know how to play.
Absolutely.
Just to
Absolutely.
make it life a lot easier. Anyways, that's my number 1, Cthulhu Wars.
My number 1 has been number 1 the last 2 years. It's Blood on the Clock Tower. There's not a lot of reason for me to go into it. Everyone knows that it was going to be my number 1. I will say, though, honestly, it might wind up dropping the more, games I play and everything, but a big boon to it, too, which I know Mike now hates the game because he hasn't been allowed to play it very much, but it's my most played game of the year, which obviously helps, too. I currently have 19 logged plays, and there's no way that's all of them.
No way.
Nice.
It's such a hard game to log because I have to ask every player their name, like if they're new, so that I can...
I just put anonymous.
I don't like doing it, but yeah, especially if it's someone that I know we're gonna play with more. I like being able to track, like I know that Tom has the highest win percentage in our group, right? Like I like knowing that. So anyway, though, yeah, I have 19 logged wins. I'm guessing it's probably closer to 30, just if I had to guess. But logged wins, I mean logged plays. But I mean, for Blood on the Clock Tower, that's a lot, and I'm really glad that I've been able to play it that many times.
It's an event game, but you've been able to coordinate those events.
I mean, I'm putting zero effort into it. Levi is trying to get a group together every month. That's why a lot of the times you guys don't even hear about it, is because I put zero effort into it. And so if Levi doesn't reach out to you guys don't hear about it. I literally get home from work and it's set up and I start playing. Like that's just how it works. So, so Blood on the Clock Tower by Pandemonium Institute. It's the best social deduction game ever made, and it's fantastic.
I've enjoyed this game a lot. Playing it in Mike's basement. I mean, with 6 players?
Everything's
with
better in
8
Mike's
players. I've had crazy stories where what was it? I was the twin, and Jonathan was my twin, and it was just the arguing going back and forth. There's the times where Caleb was just so wrong about who the demon was.
So like every time, I'm kidding.
But it's just hilarious. Again, it's one of those games where you come away with stories like all the time, and I really enjoy the debrief. Sort of like right after the game, like, okay, so you did this, you lied about this, but I was telling the truth. You were wrong. You got bad information, and you just never let go that the fact that you got bad information. I just love that stuff. Super fun and a great experience. I think I've only even played the opening scenario. I might have played the second one once.
You played Evil Twins, so you played Sex and Violence for sure, at least.
So at least one time I played, but for the most part,
I think they were just added into a Teensyville set.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't remember. I played it so many times.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
So,
I think we were using a custom loadout.
Oh, maybe.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah. But anyways, doesn't matter. I don't care. Like for me, it's like I just want to show. Like that game is like show up, tell me what my character is, and I got my sheet. I see how it works. Like, let's go.
And I will say that's why I'm saying that it probably will wind up dropping. Like, I don't know about next year and stuff, but soon it's going to wind up dropping just because, again, I have played it so much now that, like, I kind of only want to play custom scripts now. I've just played it so much. Like, Trouble Brewing, I'll just sit out. Like, I'm literally at that point to where it's like, I'm not trying to ruin your guys' game. I'm not trying to you to feel like, oh, well, we should play something else so Dan can play. It's fine. You guys play Trouble Brewing, and I'll just sit out the first couple games. I have plenty of other stuff I can do. I've just played it so many times, and it is the most basic script.
Yeah.
And then Bad Moon Rising and Sex and Violence are much more complicated. So on this most recent Blood on the Clock night we started with Bad Moon Rising. Like we can just do that now with our group, which is sick because that's probably the most complicated script to me. And so that's cool that we can do that now, but like also I just want to make custom scripts and just see all these different all the experimental characters that they're not on the script, so you can't we literally, so someone who's been coming to our Blood and Clocktower nights, and they came on the last one, said, guys, you know, I have like a giant like professional cricket. Do you guys want me to just make the experimental tokens for us? And we're like, are you serious? And she said, yeah, I can literally make those. Like, I can put the felt on the back, and I can like blah blah blah. And she's like, I can probably make them look very similar to that.
Like, why are you even asking? Why did you
so
just done
we
this already?
literally are like, we're literally talking about like paying her to just have her make, because like I would love to play with the psychopath and stuff, you know, that like you just can't play with if you only have the base game, because they haven't released that expansion and stuff yet. They're probably not doing it till the second Kickstarter run, whenever the hell that is. But like, just to say one because it's fun. So like the psychopath, right? Experimental character. They're a minion who just at any point during the day just says, I claim psychopath and I kill Bob. And Bob just dies. And now everyone knows, oh my God, Dan's a psychopath. But in order to kill me, so you guys have to nominate me to die, and then the person who nominated me has to beat me in rock, paper, scissors. or else I survive. And so it's this interesting mix of like, do we try to kill Dan but potentially waste our executions failing? Or do we just play the game knowing that an innocent person's going to die every round, and we search for the demon,
So
right?
the
Because we know
psychopath
Dan's
gets to
not the
kill
demon.
somebody every turn?
Every day they go, I claim psychopath and I killed him.
No,
And
can't
they
you
just
kill
get to-
Bob again, though?
It's kill, it's not execute, so no,
Oh,
I guess not.
okay.
But it's probably choose a living player, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't care, it
But
sounds
just
fun.
the experimental characters are just extremely entertaining, and I would like to play with them, and so we're trying to work towards that.
Sounds cool. Sounds cool. A worthy pick.
That sounds like it would be fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm back in at psychopath.
I know, it's very fun sounding.
Storytelling is just as fun as playing.
Yep,
It's-
I agree. I think I slightly prefer playing, but I mean, I'll storytell anytime.
Barely, yeah. The fact that it's close
Yeah.
is. The last time I played, I wanted to storytell because I hadn't in a while, and it's just a completely different experience. It's amazing.
All right, Mike.
My number one is Concordia.
Concordia. Anyway, let's move on.
It's
I knew this would get
game.
an old, elegant, very well-designed game.
Elegant.
Every action affects every other action that you do.
Newton's fifth law. We've talked about this.
You got to pay attention to what other players are doing. It doesn't overcomplicate itself with a ton of rules, and it just feels satisfying to play. Just building up. So much of the game is about timing, and you're just kind of building up to when I could use this card now, but well, I could get these resources, then use the market action to buy even more resources. Then when I play that card, I can do 3 things instead of 2 things. I can build 3 times instead of 2 times. It's just really good. It's just really good.
I just wish I could have input. Haven't played it.
So we'll talk about stuff that we all need to play off
Right.
of others' lists. But like 2024, you guys need to play Concordia. That's all there is
Yeah,
to
I
it.
remember 2022 when
Yeah,
you said, hey,
yeah,
remember
we said that.
2023, we're going to play these games.
You know, it's one of those games I think is
Bob
so
plays Axis and
perfect
Allies, so.
that I could do without the expansions, and I just think it's a perfect game.
I've never played the expansions.
It's got forums, which when you use your reset card, depending how many cards you played before your reset, you get a bonus action. I think those are great, but there's some forums that you start with, and there's one of them I kind of think is unbalanced because it produced the player that had that forum produced a higher score than I've ever seen in any game I've ever played, including multiple online plays.
Have you only seen it once?
It's only been once.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say it's unbalanced off
Right.
one play, but just the simple fact that it's a much higher score than I've seen before. And the market action allows you to buy or sell 2 different resources. This starting forum allows you to buy or sell 3 different resources for the entire game. And there's only one of them, and I just feel like that's very overpowered. Salt, the wild resources, can speed the game up a little bit. I don't mind Salt. But all of the variable maps that you can add really help with the scaling, because some are more catered for 2 or 3 players and others 4 and 5. And there's tons of maps. There's also the Venus expansion, of course, that adds 2v2 play, which I think would be really interesting to try, or like cooperative play. I've heard really good things about Venus. I've picked it up and haven't used it. But Concordia is genius. I just don't see It was number 2 last year. It's like Tim said, it's going to take a lot to move it out of my top 3.
Yeah, love this game.
Love that box art.
Before we, so I assume we're going to the thumb
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So before we do that, I got 2 things to say to the viewers really quick. First of all, because we haven't mentioned it yet, guys, what are the games from our list that you guys either like the most or want to play the most? If you guys do that in every episode we have for this show and have so far, then you should have a top 5 from each of us of our games. And I just think that's a really interesting way to take it. You have one game from Bob's 10 every week that is your favorite, and then boom, you have your top 5 games from Bob's list. I think that's an interesting thing, so let us know in the comments what your ones from this video would be. The second thing I just want to do really quick is I have these little fun fact thingies that I took down, and I just want to name some of these to see if any of them interest you guys, and then if any of these do, they'll be the ones we pay attention to in future videos, because this is kind of just like a testing thing, right? But I just have some easy things. So first of all, there were 14 new games to my list this year. I don't know if you guys know your numbers for any of these, by the way, but if you do, feel free to jump in. But mine was 14 for the new games. Oh, they're counting. I'll give them a second.
Let's see. I thought you were going to go more with that. Let's see. New. Well,
Well,
new,
I could go through mine,
New
but-
to the top 50 or new
Yes.
to you?
New to the top 50.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3,
23.
4,
Almost
5,
half my list was new this year.
Nice.
Not new to me, but
No, yeah.
7,
Yeah.
8, 9,
Interesting.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
4,
15,
5, 6, 7,
15.
8, 9, 10,
Yeah.
11, 12.
Okay, pretty close to me.
You don't have to write the names down.
I know, but I don't have like my whole 50 list here.
Yeah, you're
Why
fine.
don't you guys continue and
Yeah.
I'll have an answer here in a second.
Just as the first one that I wrote down, just because I thought it was kind of interesting. So the lowest game that dropped out of my 50 and the highest game that dropped out of my 50,
yeah,
right?
no, I can
So
tell you
the
that one.
obvious highest one that dropped out of my 50 was 50, and that was Potion Explosion. Last year, obviously, it was 50, so it was very likely to drop out of the list, and it did. And my highest that dropped completely out of my 50 was Detective, which was 26. I still like them. I don't know. I just tend to like bigger, deeper games. So any of these, puzzle in a box games just tend to slowly fall over time. And then I play a new one and it jumps in and then it slowly falls again, right? So 26 was my highest. Let's see. The game that dropped the most spots was Marvel Champions. It dropped 29 spots, still in my top 50, but it dropped the most. And one of them was my most played game was Blood on the Clock Tower. I already said that. And the last one I have is my oldest game that I have on my list is technically Dune, that came out in 1979. Now, obviously, the edition I own is not that edition, but the rules are mostly the same. But I tried to look for the oldest game. I was gonna say newest game, but there's just gonna be a bunch from 2023.
Oh, sure.
Like there's gonna be a few, not a bunch. But so yeah, my oldest game was Dune from 1979. So good job holding up that long. But that's just some of the facts that I noticed or took note of while I was making this. So let me know if any of those interest you guys, or if any other things that I left out. Like, what about your X in your list? Like, let us know any facts you'd like to know, because I'd like this to kind of become a thing when we do big things like top 50s, where it's like, hey, here's like the trends that we noticed. Like, I thought about doing like the mechanic that showed up the most and everything, but I just haven't had time to go through all my games and do that kind of thing. But
Okay. I had 9 new games in my top 50.
okay, you had the lowest.
My most played game this year was Sky Team. That's
makes
why
sense.
it was number 11. I got 27 plays of Sky Team and 23 plays of Heat this year. So those are my most played games. The ones that moved up, the weird one for me was Imperial, another Matt Gertz game. And just the fact that I had played that game years ago, but I played it again this year. And it was just like, why didn't I appreciate this game before? And it never made my radar before, and it jumped to number 30 this year.
Right.
Because I was just like, wow, what a genius game for something that was released in 07. Otherwise, my biggest mover was Planet Unknown, which went from 37 to number 20.
Yeah.
So for mine, it looks like my highest rated game from last year that completely fell off the list was number 20, and that was Agents of Smersh.
Okay.
Probably because we just haven't played it.
Yeah, I've only played it like once.
Yeah.
I think since I got it, it's hard to get a group together for it. I want to. I love it.
Same. I would like to play it again, but yeah, it fell off the map, as it were.
My biggest climber, I think, was Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. It went from 47 to 18.
That's pretty big.
The other one would have moved the other way, would have been Lords of Hellas. It dropped down into the 40s. It was in the teens.
Same. Just because I've only played it that one time.
Yeah, I just haven't played it as much versus getting other ones played. I think the oldest game on my list was probably Concordia or
That makes
Catan
sense.
Starfarers. I don't remember.
Concordia's got to be older than Starfarers, right?
Actually, I think Concordia is
wait.
2012.
Because Starfarers is a remake too. So are you counting that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if so,
yeah.
then
if
you're
you count
right.
the original printing, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're right
Concordia
then.
is actually not as old as you think.
Oh yeah,
It's
that
just the
cover
art.
sure gives you, sure tricks the mind.
Yeah. It really does. It really does. But yeah, just some interesting things there.
Okay.
Hard to. I think my most played new game on the list might be After Us, just
Sure.
from all the BGA plays and
Yeah, that definitely helps.
and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, also just kind of a fun thing is over the years, I've gotten to meet so many of the people that have made the games in my top 50, and these games would have been in my top 50 regardless. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool
Well,
to be able to say like, oh yeah, I know the person that made that game now, or I met him, I got to interview him, I got to say hi,
Right, right.
love
They,
your game.
they sleep at my house.
Yeah. What?
What?
Are you sleeping in my house? No, it's just really cool, really fun. This has been an amazing year, and I can't wait to see next year what these lists look like and how they've evolved and change and stuff. It's just really cool.
Counting BGA, I've got over 40 plays of After Us and 30-some plays of
Jeez.
Sky Team. 22 plays of Heat.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. If I were to log BGA plays, my Sky Team plays would be like in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
It would be insane.
I haven't logged the past few days, and
Yeah.
there's been a few games of it, so it's minus a couple, but yeah.
Okay, well, there's Dan's fun facts. Working on a name.
But also, the games on your guys' list that I
Yep.
want to play.
So
Yeah,
recap
we're-
rundown.
Yeah, we'll do the recap rundown, and then we'll do that, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay.
we want to. Yeah.
So here we go.
I need to reference.
These better be
Thumbs at the ready.
At the ready.
Number 10, Nucleum. Number 9, Star Wars Rebellion. Number 8, Wonderland's War. Number 7, Downfall of Pompeii. Number 6, Sky Team. Number 5, Empire: Age of Discovery. Number 4, Smartphone Inc. Number 3, Axis and Allies, 1942. Number 2, The War of Rooms. Give me a different number 1, Anachrony. That's it.
The War of Rooms threw me off. I'm like, what game is that? All right, boys.
They're not whispering anymore.
Get those thumbs ready and try not to turn too many of them down.
Sorry, it was ready.
Number 10, Taverns of Tiefenthal. Number 9, Clank Catacombs. Number 8, Mechs vs. Minions. 7, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. 6, Star Wars Rebellion. 5, GKR Heavy Hitters. 4, Empire: Age of Discovery. 3, Ankh: Gods of Egypt. 2, Concordia. And 1, Cthulhu Wars. Boop, boop.
Okay, let me open mine up because I was keeping track of your guys's. I had Wolves of Mercia, Dune.
Mike, your thumb.
What a rude guy.
Oh,
I don't know. I haven't played it. Haven't played the new Dune.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Nemesis Lockdown. Tapestry. Twilight Imperium 4. Dune Imperium. Circadians Chaos Order. Gonna get a lot of shrugs on that one. Hegemony, lead your class to victory. And Blood on the Clock Tower.
okay. Number 10, Smartphone Inc. Heat, Pedal to the Metal. Cubitos. Wonderland's War. Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
Wait, Wonderland's War was this.
Scythe. Blood on the Clock Tower. Castles of Burgundy. Anachrony. Concordia. It was interesting cheering to see where Bob was going to put his thumb for Castle of Burgundy because I taught him this game earlier this year. But when I butchered the layout and we didn't use modules. Games on your guys' list that I want to play. I got to play Circadian's Chaos Order. I got to play Hegemony, and I still got to play Lockdown. I have not played that.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played any Nemesis.
So you're
okay.
only naming Dan games.
Yeah.
Bob and I are offended.
Okay with this.
Tim, Cthulhu Wars, and Giant Killer Robots.
Yeah.
And
Giant
Bob,
Killer
let's
Robots.
just play Anachrony, the real version, with as
IRL.
many modules as you
we can
want to
get in there?
use.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That sounds good to me.
And War Room again with a different partner.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're going backwards on this one. So,
Snake draft.
Bob, it's frickin' War Room, okay? Can we just get this out of the way already?
Yes.
You mean dude. Tim, at first I had Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, but I actually mentioned that one in a previous episode, so this time I'm going to say Empire's Age of Discovery. Yes. It just sounds so frickin' good, and
I think you'll like it. I think you would find it really interesting.
And Mike, I think I've mentioned this one. Well, it was probably last year, I guess, that I mentioned it, but it's got to be Concordia. You guys won't shut up about it.
We won't.
That's kind of why I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. So from Bobby over here, Nucleum, War Room. I really want to play War Room, but Nucleum just sounds really cool. Also, Dan had 3 games that I've played Dune, but I want to play Dune. Circadian First Light or Chaos Order, whichever one.
It's Chaos Order. Yeah, I haven't played First Light.
I've got
and then
First Light at home.
Hegemony just. That is that game is my bag, and I really want to play it. Dying to play it. And then Mike, yours is Castles of Burgundy. I just need to play it. I haven't played it. So
Burgundy will read anything in the prompter. Okay. So Tim, Star Wars Rebellion. We should play again.
we should play
We
again.
should totally play again.
I'll take it.
Dan, Big Boy Dune. Never played it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to check it out. I mean, I should probably check out Chaos Order 2, but Big Boy Dune was the one that really grabbed me.
Big Boy did it.
Mike, smartphone. We should play smartphone.
I can't believe you didn't say Concordia, but
Yeah, we have not played smartphone together. That's true.
I played your copy.
Oh, you
That's
you guys have never played together?
No,
That's funny.
I don't think I've played with any of you guys, actually.
Yep.
That's how I like it.
awesome. Well,
I
guys,
prefer it that way.
thank you for sticking with us through all top 50. Whether you
For our
watch all,
longest top 10 in a long time.
With as much crossover, I figured it'd be less
I
time,
know.
or
Yeah.
more time.
well, if you found this video helpful, entertaining, all those things, please consider liking, subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down, any of those things. We love it. Join our Discord, our Facebook community. We do have a Patreon. If that sort of thing interests you, you want to support the show financially, great. We'd be very grateful. But if you can't, don't want to, totally fine. We appreciate the comments. Get in here and rip us for terrible picks too. I don't care. It's fun.
Why does Tim like bad games?
It's fun for the discussion. That's why I picked the bad games.
That's okay. That's fair.
No, but anyways, we love doing this, and one of the things we love most about it is the interaction with you guys. So come on down.
Yeah.
Mike and I do a live stream. Sometimes you see these yahoos on it. We do them on Wednesdays, and you'll see them in the comments.
Yeah,
here and
usually
there.
definitely in the comments.
Be like, who's Gamer Shelter?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh no.
He's always mean to them.
Totally unwarranted too. We've never done anything to deserve mean comments from Dan or Gamer Shelter, whoever that is.
Whatever that might be.
No, but again, it's just another way for us to interact and keep doing what we love doing, which is making this content and goofing around with each other. So thank you guys for that and appreciate all of that. Awesome lists, guys.
Yeah.
These
Thank you.
are so much fun. They really are. I get amped up. They're a lot of work, but I feel like the payoff is worth it, and it's super fun to.
More to come.
Yeah.
New to you, 2023. We're going to
come.
do one of those.
Looking forward to.
Upcoming 2024 within the next month.
Most disappointing of 2023.
Yeah.
We're going to do
That'd be
that on the
exciting.
live show.
That's gonna be a live show.
Yeah.
Nice.
'Cause
I'll have to
we-
get that-
Yeah,
I'll have to get that Wednesday
screw
off.
us, Bob.
Yeah, I know. I guess I'll take some vacation off of work so I can participate.
Hey, I've been telling Tim I could probably squeeze in a few more. So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyways,
Make sure you check out that sponsor. That was an awesome ad earlier. That was really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check them out.
Again, I like those things. So.
I do.
very cool.
I use
was
them every
it?
day. I don't know what it was.
I actually watch our videos. So
Well, anyways, there's a secret error in one of the videos that I noticed. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you comment below, maybe we'll send you something. If you find the mistake.
a recent video, I assume.
It's in the top 50 videos.
Okay, I was gonna say it's not like in the
An
past
error
7
in the
years.
video?
7 years.
Or an
We made a
error
mistake.
in an
Can you
ad
find
in the
it?
video?
No, an error in the video. And it's not the editor's fault. It is the person who is discussing their game's fault.
Ooh, okay, I do
curious
have a
to
lot of
see what
brain
this
farts.
is.
Pay attention to me
Yes.
talking.
I know,
Did
right?
you
Like,
mention
oh my
which
gosh.
10 it was?
No.
No, but we'll find
No,
out.
we'll make you
after.
work for it.
Once we cut, Tim's gonna let us know.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Okay.
But anyways, this is awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Anything else, boys, before we sign off?
No.
All right.
Have a great new year.
Happy New Year.
Keep
I
gaming.
hope you had a great New Year.
That's
yeah,
true.
Hope your new year was amazing and safe. All right, guys, for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
Dan.
All right, we'll see you next time.